Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Impacted, brought to you via the Total Nonstop Impact Network and available wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and of course on YouTube. And today I'm joined by my brother from another mother. He wasn't with us last week, but this week he's back with a vengeance. Welcome to the Fro, Joe.
It's good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back from the void and channeling all whatever we can think of through the empty space. Hello, children.
Hello, buddy. And
Enlightened.
not only he's the enlightened one, and not only do we have the incredible, the crazy, the stupendous Joe, but we also have the man who's recently joined us, simply known as Steve. Right, Steve?
Hey, what is up, everyone? How are we keeping out there? Hope you're still doing well.
Yeah, we're doing good, bud. We're doing good. I think everybody's loving life at the moment. Us in the UK are all in our lockdown. Yay, loving life.
Oh, yes.
We love a bit of lockdown, don't we? We just love it. Yeah. And we love wearing our masks and not mixing and stuff. And yeah. But anyway, so let's make sure you wear your mask and keep your distance, guys. Stay home and stay safe. That is what you need to be doing right now.
Yeah.
So do as you're bloody well told, damn it. Anyway, Anyway, so this week it's not actually been a lot of news, is there, guys?
No.
Not that I've seen, but I suppose I've not been paying much attention over the past week, so because of other issues.
Yeah, but
no news is good news.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what they say. But of course, with no news, it means that we don't have anything to talk about. So that's not such good news for the Impacted team.
True.
So what we thought we would do this week, because we haven't got any legitimate news as such, we thought we'd change the set to our thoughts and views on the potential news, right, that we've got coming up. So it'd be interesting to see, what does start transpiring there over the next few weeks. Now, one thing that did come out of this past week on Impact, which we're going to be talking about in a bit, was that we ended up with the X Division title match for No Surrender. Obviously, Rohit Raju versus TJP. What do you think about this match, Steve?
Personally, I think that this match is going to. I think they're going to give the belt back to Rohit.
You think?
I think they will. I think there's a possibility that TJ could hold it, keep it, and that is if they reunite TJ and Fala.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, clearly there's a potential here to create a tag team with Rohit and Shearer, and of course, like you say, if you bring, if TJ brings a friend, just like Rohit clearly is bringing a friend, you would think it could possibly be Fala, which would potentially create two potential tag matches at least, as well as a couple of singles out of that as well. So you could get a feud out of that. What about you, Joe? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Steve. I think Rohit's getting the belt back because I know TJP said a while ago he's not interested in holding the belt for too long. If he does win it, he's got it basically to progress the rivalry and the story between Rohit and TJP. I hope we do see TJP and Fala Bar back together, but Fala Bar seems to be going in a different direction with Johnny Bravo and whatever's happening at Swingers Palace.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a bit, hey?
But if Fala Bar and TJP can come back down the line, that would be good, because Fala Bar and TJP had a really good boost last year, especially against the likes of the Deans and the Rascals. So that it's something that Impact shouldn't let slip through the net too much.
No, it's interesting because with obviously the fact that we AEW especially claim to have a very good tag division, which they do. They've got some great teams over there. If we were to sort of kind of start recreating maybe 4 or 5 different tag teams again over here at Impact, then there's so many tag matches that could be had between the two promotions as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. But you've got Violent by Design. They could take on pretty much anyone in the inner circle and have a massive classic right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be really good. I mean, what are your thoughts on the current tag division, Steve?
the tag division as it is right now feels like it's being slowly rebuilt.
Yeah.
It feels like it's in a state of like refurbishment. You look at the tag team as it is, the tag team division as it is, and you've got, I'm trying to think of who's in it right now. You've got the Good Brothers who are holding the titles. The Machine Guns are kind of not active. You've kind of got Beer Guns right
We've
now,
got beer guns.
although
Yeah.
Storm isn't technically on the roster. So you don't know what his position is right now.
No, exactly. Obviously, we've got Triple XL. There is Reno
Yeah.
Scum, although we haven't seen them for a little while. I think that's due.
yeah. So you'd like to say Reno Scum are there, although I know that Thornstowe has his nursing duties, doesn't he? So he might be quite preoccupied with that right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why we've not seen much of Reno Scum over the last
So
couple of sets.
it's why we've not seen Alex Shelley as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, those are the issues. I think I like the beer guns thing personally. I'm proper down with that. I think that's cool. Plus, I am a massive James Storm fan. So to have James Storm back in the company in any way, shape, or form is good for me. And to like you say, to tag him up with arguably, you know, if you think about it, you've arguably got the best two tag teams that TNA, you know, or Impact has ever seen, and now you've got one half of one of them or one half of the other. It's almost like a super tag team.
Yeah, I like that they're still experimenting with like they used to back at you know, they didn't have to have a solid tag team unit. You know, we had like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. I think they formed a team. This I was all right before my time, so I'm just throwing out names at the moment. But you know, James Storm and Chris Sabin is a good example of two people that have worked together in the past, and now they're forming a solid unit. You know, James Storm's done America's Most Wanted. Like I said, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles were a team, I think, for a little while. You know, so they're putting big names together and they're forming teams, but they're working rather than two big names working together just for the sake of it, and then it just doesn't go anywhere, or the matches just are too one-sided.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense. I think the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you know, bring James Storms in to tag with Sabin. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because that way you're potentially continuing what you may have done with what you were probably planning on doing with Machine Guns. You know, all you've done is you just replace that person, and it makes sense. The whole storyline makes sense. And of course, with regards to James Storm, you're throwing him back straight into the main event scene.
Exactly.
And he's not out of place. He's not out of place because he's a main event player.
Yeah,
you took the words right out of my mouth. You know, James Storm's got a lot of history with Impact Wrestling, and he's a lot of his character is about respect. So, and that's the first thing he's hammered home to the Good Brothers is you guys really don't deserve it because you got no respect. You're not showing respect for the company. You're not showing respect for the roster. You're just taking the piss, basically. And just so James Storm is fitting straight back into that role, which the Motor City Machine Guns were putting across to begin with. It's just a perfect slot.
Oh yeah, without doubt. I think you're right there. Now the other news that came out of this past week on him, and again we'll talk about that in a bit, but was the Ken Shamrock suspension. It's come out sort of kind of it's indefinitely. So you know that seems pretty harsh. But you know you can't go around beating up officials and basically anyone that comes anywhere near you. You know, regardless of whether you're in a ring or not. You know, what are your thoughts on that, Steve?
this was kind of interesting because obviously we saw on the following week show that this week's show that Scott basically said that he hopes he never sees him in Impact again, and obviously he's going to suspend him indefinitely. Yeah. But obviously, what we saw on last week's show was Shamrock attacking Sammy, attacking all the security guards, and then standing in the ring saying, "This is my house, this is my ring," and it takes me back to this whole storyline that is going on with AEW and Impact, and like, could he be a player in this whole storyline? You know, this is my house, this is my ring.
Wow, who knows? You might be right there. I know that there has been some interactions on social media between Ken and Tony Khan. You know, what about you? What about you, Joe? What do you think?
I was surprised to see Ken Shamrock turn on Sammy Callahan. I knew I didn't think it was going to happen anytime soon, and I saw Ken Shamrock's response to him getting suspended this morning. He said he's not done. Scott can put as much barriers up as he can. He's not done, and when he comes back, everyone's going to be on notice. And
Yeah.
when Steve just mentioned the potential of Ken Shamrock either jumping to AEW and doing something there against Impact Wrestling,
Yeah.
or coming back to Impact Wrestling to take on AEW, because Impact Wrestling is his ring. He was the first TNA World Champion.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's interesting. I never
so,
really.
you know, we could see Shamrock versus Kenny Omega in a one-off,
You
or
never know. You never
yeah,
know.
or Ken Shamrock can take on quite a few guys on AEW, despite his age, despite them. He's got the experience. You know, it's like
Still go, can't he?
he can go. It's amazing what he can do at his age. He can.
Yeah. I mean, Christ, he's still doing suicide dives.
Yeah.
I don't think we even saw him do suicide dives in his prime, to be honest. But there you go. But yeah, no. So it's interesting to see where that story's going and where he's going to come back into the fold. I think it's definitely going to be something to do with AEW. So we just got to look forward to something fresh turning up a little bit later down the line to find out what that's all about. We've also seen a lot of positivity coming from Matt Cardona with regards to his status with Impact. Now, the way he's talking, you would have thought he was signed. We've had nothing official to say that he's officially signed with the company, but the positivity that's coming from him, he's been praising management, he's been praising the roster, he's saying he's got something to prove, all these kind of things. So I mean, what are your thoughts, Joe?
I've read some of Matt Cardona's recent interview. I forget where it was, but he said that he's come to Impact Wrestling to rewrite himself. He's always ready. He spent the last 10 years with highs and lows, and he wants to prove not just to the fans that he's a main event player or he's still got it. He wants to prove it to himself. And Impact Wrestling, he said, is the perfect platform for people to come to do that, because a lot of people have come to Impact Wrestling to reinvent themselves, like EC3. Eric Young's doing it now. Moose signed with Impact Wrestling indefinitely, basically, and so is Eddie Edwards. And Matt Cardona, they've got something building now between him and Brian Myers. So they're not going to be building something like that if he's not assigned. I think he is, and I think it's just a matter of time before it comes out of the woodwork.
I think it's very interesting. There's one thing you mentioned in there, which you could put down in this section anyway, was that Moose is signed for a long time. Now, I have seen a couple of rumors online that saying he actually isn't signed for a long period of time. He's only got maybe 2 or 3 months left on his contract. Now, there's two things here. There is a possibility that's the case, but there's also a possibility that he may have already re-signed. Okay, so it's all right saying, oh, he's only got this length of time. He could still sign, pre-sign before his contract runs out. He could have committed already, because Impact are really committed to him at the moment. They're really investing. They're really building him. They clearly have him as their next world champion, and what a great world champion he would be. And because the man is huge, he's athletic, he can wrestle, he can promo, and fucking, he's jacked. Is he not jacked? This past week on Impact, I couldn't believe how jacked he was looking. Right, is God, just incredible. Just his laterals were incredible. But that said, I think Matt Cardona is definitely showing the signs that he is already signed. I mean, he's been praising everything, hasn't he? He's been promoting Impact all over the place. What have you seen, Steve, on that?
On that side of things, I haven't seen anything from Matt Cardona. From what I've seen from him on the show and social media, it reminds me of like when the Good Brothers came in. Here's a guy who feels like he wants to be here, is enjoying his time here.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen of him on the show, it's ironic I'm going to mention this guy because he recently appeared in the Royal Rumble, but it makes me feel like here's someone like Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Feels like someone who is like a completely new character and feels like, hang on, here's someone we can give a new chance to, and someone that can feel like a new character completely, and we can meet our own wrestler who you can look at like completely a new kind of sort of completely new person.
Yeah. I think one thing is for sure. I think if if there was an audience, if when he arrived there was an audience, I'm telling you now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, Matt Cardona is, Zack Ryder sucks, and all that kind of stuff, which they shouldn't, because he's a bloody good wrestler. He's very good. You don't spend 16 years in or in one of the premier wrestling company and suck. That's just You're not being a very good wrestler. That's rubbish. They're not going to continue keeping you there if you can't do the job in the ring. So I think at the end of the day, the guy is very good at what he does. We've only really seen one characteristic, one sort of kind of side to him over the last sort of kind of like 10 years or so with the whole Zack Ryder character in WWE, but the Matt Cardona is a completely different person. He's got a different name, he's got a slightly different look. It's similar but different, and I think, and he certainly is bringing a slightly different attitude, and it would be interesting to see where he goes. And like I said, I think if there'd been a live audience, it would have been a huge pop. Like you say, like that kind of Christian moment when Christian came to TNA, that kind of thing. Whether it had been quite as big a pop as that, I don't know, but it certainly would have been it would have been along those sort of lines. You're right.
Yeah.
Is Matt going to do what Christian did, though? This is the thing. Only time will tell now. But what I do like is how positive he's been in putting the company over, and that for me is gold.
Yeah, I just sort of meant like someone who could come in, completely reinvent themselves, and if they left, have someone they could walk out and say, I'm a new person.
Yeah, he could, but like you say, he can go away and continue his journey.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think it's good to have someone of that stature, 2.2 million Twitter followers. We've got to bring some of these people to Impact Wrestling, surely. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all starts to pan out when people start to realize that, this is not just, possibly a short-term thing. This could be a long-term thing, that he's going to be there. And I think it's good. I think it's really good. And to put him against Mars as opposed to them, being kind of pally, best mates type character, I think that's the right thing to do also. But, so what we've got now, we've got like a rivalry thing. And of course, we'll talk about that in a bit. But that's pretty much about it, guys, isn't it? I mean, it was a pretty news-light week, really. It's nice. I mean, what they say is no news is good news. So, everyone is just politely getting on with their business. So I think we should just move on to, a nice review from this past week on Impact. What do you think?
Yeah, if anyone listening or watching has got any news items we missed from this week, by all means, drop it in the comments.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We'll need a big stockpile to follow on to next week. So
yeah, I was actually thinking about, boys, while we're sort of kind of talking here, I was actually thinking about maybe creating a comments thing where people can ask us questions, and we could maybe answer those questions on the next show.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So there's another one, guys. If there's something that we haven't discussed, but you'd be interested to hear what our thoughts are on that, then drop us a question, in the comments below. Just put something along the lines of, guys, what are your thoughts on this? What we'll do is, rather than answer that, as long as you put, what are your thoughts on this? Yeah. Then we'll know that question is to be on the show. Then we won't reply to that. We'll leave it for next week, and we'll leave some comments. That make sense?
Yeah.
And it also gives us time to think about it, boys. Yeah. we can think about it and give a good reaction to them. You know, a good reply. So that'd be cool. So don't forget, guys. Yeah, leave us a comment below. What do you think, guys, of? That's what you need to write. What do you think, guys, of? And then fire away. And yeah, we'll give you our thoughts next week or on the next episode of Impacted, which normally goes out every Friday. I'm hoping that the brother Joe and Steve put together something for next week because unfortunately I'm moving house, so I'm not going to have any internet, so I won't be around next week, guys. So lucky you. You'll have to put up with host Joe and Steve only if they manage to get that done. So that would be, hopefully they will. So fingers crossed. If not, Impact will be back the following Friday. Just fingers crossed. So everyone put the fingers, we've got to get crossed that that's going to happen, right?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
Toes
crossed. Let's get it happening.
Can't move
make
the
it
toes.
happen. So yeah, so you know, absolutely superb. So I want to talk about again. We talked about it last week. Do you not think I love the new This Is the Night opening?
I do. I think it's really stands out a lot more.
Yes.
Like you guys said last week, it's a bit more like a throwback to the Attitude Era. And J-Bone was saying it last night on Twitch. It's a bit more of a throwback to the Attitude Era where that you show the guys you want to promote rather than have random snippets of footage. And it goes a lot better with the music as well, I think. I hope they don't change the theme anytime soon because I love the theme.
Yeah, This Is the Night is great. I think it's superb. It certainly needs to continue as that for at least the next year, I think, and then maybe look at revamping it again. You know, because you've got to continually keep refreshing stuff up. You know, but yeah, This Is the Night is great. I love it. And like you say, the way that it's sort of the way it drives, with regards to the sort of kind of like the footage that goes with it. It's really good, really good. I love the whole flashing Impact thing. You know, it comes up with all the stars, and I love all that. That's really cool.
It's like it flashes with the beat of the drum kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really good, really good. And so, hats off to whoever edited that as well, because that's a really good job.
I think that's where we're seeing Josh Matthews' production come in now. I think Josh Matthews has had a really good influence on how they should revamp things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, do you know what? That's interesting you should say that, because one of the things that I've got later on in this is how much the production of the show seems to be stronger than it was, say, you know, a couple of months ago. To me, it just seems to have got stronger in the probably since the last pay-per-view, I guess, Hard to Kill. Because see, what was interesting about Hard to Kill, and I'm going to say this now, right, is it was the first pay-per-view that we didn't have any technical issues at all.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. That's what I've noticed that too. And the one last time before that was Slammiversary.
Yes, that's right. So they didn't have any no, I think they did at the beginning. They had a few things at the beginning, but then it was very early on, and then it all got sorted.
Yeah.
But then you had BFG, which definitely had a few issues, and then but then this did Hard to Kill had none. So, you know, one of the things that people kind of gripe about is sometimes when they go live, we do end up with a few issues. They're not quite as slick on the live, but then, you know, if you're not doing live every freaking week, you know, you know, it's harder to get that consistency and understand everything, isn't it?
There's going to be a bit of ring rust.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a bit of ring rust if you're not doing it constantly. They get to do it 4 times a year at the moment, so it's not like, you know, they're doing this live thing all the time. But I thought Hard to Kill was absolutely flawless. There was no issues in anything, no sound, nothing. And they added in the crowd for the first time, and that worked. You know, so, you know, where they could have saved that for the productions. They could have saved that for the show, you know, the tape shows, where they could have properly spent a bit of time getting it all right. There was something else that happened tonight, which I don't know whether you guys will have noticed, but I did. All right, we haven't had it previously, because previously all the crowd noises have been very kind of like generic. It's been very, you know, it's sort of there, it's underlined, but it doesn't, you know, you might get the odd up and down with the win, or if someone's on a flourish of offense, you might get a load of cheers or whatever, right? But what we had tonight was the crowd actually responding to what was going on in the ring.
Yeah, you get a lot of boos when you'd see Larry D in that club with Crazy Steve, and or when Brian Myers had come down to the ring. There was a lot of those booing while he was on the mic.
Yeah, It was interesting how they did that. But even when there was a section in our first match, we'll talk about in a second, Tash and Havoc, where Havoc was basically hitting Tasha with like loads of like, you know, hard hitting blows, and for each one it was yay, and then it goes silent, and then when she hit her again it was yay, and it, you know, all these things sort of make a massive difference, and it becomes the almost like you start to believe the crowd's actually there because they're responding to what's, you know, they've done it in such a way that it's responding to the actual match. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah. It'll be interesting when crowds come back because there'll be like some wrestlers that fans won't like boo for that are heels. So the boos probably won't be responding to the correct or the wrestlers that are heels.
Well, do you know what? Right now, this is the thing. Now, I don't know whether, you know, anyone agrees with this or not. But one of the big things that Impact have been criticised for over the years was not having the audience mic'd correctly, right? Or not having that, not being able to get that response. Like, you know, like I know that the Melrose Ballroom where I was, I mean, God, it was loud as anything in there. But when you watched it on the TV, you thought nobody was in the room. Like, but believe you me, the place was buzzing. Like, people were going nuts. But like I say, when you watch the edited version on telly, you didn't really hear where they brought the volume down or whatever. I don't know. They not mic'd it in the way that it should be, or what, I don't know. But what I do think is there is the possibility that when they start bringing in smaller crowds, because we're not going to start getting thousands of people in these places at the moment, or certainly not even early on. You're not, you know, it's, you know, you're still going to end up with this whole kind of like social distance, sort of sporadic audience. That's, you're still going to have all of that. So, and of course, potentially a lot of them, if it's indoors, are going to be wearing masks. So if that is the case, then, you know, the sound coming from the audience is going to be quite muffled. But so I think what's going to happen is they will still keep an underlying soundtrack of audience, but then you'll have the audience on site as well, adding to that to give it. Do you know what I mean? I think they'll have a combination of the two,
both,
moving forward until we start getting the, you know, being able to have, you know, a full house kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. I think that worked really, really well.
Yeah.
But you know, we just don't. Well, we don't know. But I think that would be good. But that was something I wanted to bring up a little bit later. But now we talked about it, I don't have to. So it's all good.
Yeah. But what you just mentioned there is probably why I found the crowd or the no crowd dealable, because Impact have always struggled miking the crowd, so I haven't noticed it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But I really like I like it. I think it's great. I think it adds that atmosphere which has been missing from Impact. You know, we've said for ages that the in-ring, the promo stuff, you know, the actual shows are really great. It just lacks atmosphere. And it was after, you know, for a while we didn't really bother us, I don't think. We just sort of kind of accepted it. But as time went on, we started to feel it was atmosphereless, you know, and it was. So people that were tuning in to watch it, if they hadn't been watching it before, you know, they were finding it to be atmosphereless. Well, it was, you know, because there's no audience, so it was. But of course, companies have managed to get around that a little bit and try and create that ambience. You know, I'm not down with the whole virtual thing. I think that looks ridiculous. You know, the way AEW are doing it, where they've just sort of kind of got they've got a crowd, but is it an outdoor venue? I can't remember. No, it is indoors, isn't it?
It's indoors. I think it's just reduced crowds.
Yeah, but it is a very, very reduced crowd, isn't it? And they're all very socially distanced. So you get an atmosphere because you're getting the cheering, but it's not like that raucous sound that you get when you've got a full house, right? You know, so you've got an atmosphere on that show. So when you come and watch Impact for the first time, you know, pre us having our audience, audience sounds, you know, it would have been very sterile, wouldn't it?
I never found it sterile. I enjoyed it, but then I was so more immersed in what was going on in the ring, what was going on the mic, and just happy to be watching it again after so much time away from it. because it was 2020 and things that happened in 2020.
Mm.
So, but I was just enjoying what I was watching rather than paying attention to the background. You could hear the chops, you could hear the screams, you could hear all the impact and punches.
But
and
you
kicks.
see, that's what I wrote down here earlier. I wrote down here that they seem to have got the crowd sound at the right level so that you could still hear what's going on in the ring. You could still hear them, the chops. You could still hear the smacks and the ring noise when Larry D hits the ring, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you could still hear them screaming at each other, which is great when you've got Havoc and Tasha Steele in the ring.
Oh yeah, if you can't hear Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steele screaming, you're missing a hell of a lot.
Exactly. So let's move on. Let's move on into the first match because we're almost sort of kind of talking about it anyway there. So the first match, obviously, Fire and Flavor kickoff. And I got to say this. The match is Tasha versus Havoc, but did you not love Tasha's ring attire?
That Tasha Steele is impressing me more and more. I've been really pleased to see her since she come in. Her ring attire was fantastic, and her ability in the ring has improved tenfold since she first came in. She lost to Kylie Ray on her debut match, and since then she's built up and built up and built up rather than go down and go stale.
Yeah, I think, I just thought the overall look when she came into the ring, she just looked really, really cool. Like,
it looked like a main event star.
Badge. Yeah, definitely. The way she held herself, the whole look head to toe, everything about her said that girl is a champion. That girl is a star, right? Before she even done anything. I mean, what did you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, the outfit is like, I've got the outfit of a champion now. You know, I've upgraded to a champion's outfit now.
I know that I am a star. This is me. Take it or leave it. I'm here for I'm here to show everybody how good I am. You know what I mean? In everything that I do, from head to toe, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I perform in the ring, and the way I look. Everything about her says, I am a wrestling star now, without doubt. Of course, she's accompanied with Kira, who also looks equally as great. So, it's good to see her. And I love their music. I think the music is amazing. So obviously Tasha enters the ring because she's she's the one taking on the mission, the monster Havoc. We then get obviously Havoc and Nevaeh entrance. They come in, again, what I like about Nevaeh, she's got this really sort of kind of like, it's a sinister smile, I call it. So she sort of kind of smiles, but it's quite sinister in its, the way it comes across. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's menacing, but it's also really, really cute.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So I think, so they all come out, obviously Havoc is all full on ring attire. She looks great, $1,000,000 as she always does. And then the match kicks off. What I loved was that, straight away you're thinking, oh my God, this is like David and Goliath here. You know what I mean? Like Tasha's going to get an absolute beating. But she was so fast in her offense that she's just like a little bee, sort of kind of like buzzing around, hitting you, and then, like almost like a Jedi with lightning speed coming at you from all action. She was absolutely killing it to begin with. Really, really killing it. I think Havoc was like, Jesus Christ, like, how am I going to touch this kid? I can't even get older. And everything she tried, Tasha just was out of the way and in with a leg shot or whatever. Bottom line, commentary again on this was superb, pointed out the fact that she was clearly going for the legs. If someone's bigger than you, you need to make them small, right? So they're going for the legs. She's clearly doing that. And of course, if her legs are knackered, she can't pick her up and all, to do the power moves. We get all of that stuff. But I thought the opening section with Tasha was pretty awesome. What did you think, Joe?
I love the match start to finish. Tasha Steele's offense is very closely matched to how Kiera Hogan always started to build her matches now. It's go in, hit the move, mouth off at everybody, go in, hit the move, mouth off at everybody. It's very consistent. Yeah. And it's even though you think, it's going to get predictable, it still manages to throw people off the game because it's doing what it's meant to do. It's meant
also
to
the jaw jacking.
Yeah, jaw jacking, trash talking, it adds more than rather than take things away. And then when someone finally does get something in, like having Havoc just clubber you and you go flying down, you're really, really happy that someone finally shut her up.
that's the, yeah, I get that one, definitely. What about you, Steve? What did you think of Tasha's opening flurry of offense?
Yeah, this match, and to be honest, all the series of matches that these teams had, it's kind of reminded me of going back to the day when when Team 3D and the Guns faced off. It's kind of got that kind of feel to it, like where you've got the sort of the big team and the kind of the scrappy little team going at it, and I mean, it's because to begin with, it's sort of surprising that these two teams do work really, really well together. Because don't forget that Tasha and Kira are still quite new. Really, they haven't been, Kira especially. She's only been in the business like a few years, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
so I
been
mean,
in about 6 or 7 years or so. She went through Shimmer and Shine and then went to Impact Wrestling.
But yeah, like I say, they so yeah, like I say, she's that they do work really well together, these two teams. So maybe this is not going to just be a feud. Maybe this is going to end up being one of those rivalries that just keeps going and going and going.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it could go for quite some time. You've got so many different variations that you could use in this match. There's people you can bring in. There's so much you can do. But again, I do believe, though, Havoc and Nevaeh will end up with that titles at some point. Because,
they will get them, yeah.
They fully deserve it. They've been a tag team for 16 years. They deserve a shot at gold at some point, and they're a great team. They work so well together. So I hope at some point in the future that we do see that title on them, although I'm very much enjoying Fire and Flavor at the moment. I thought it was a really, really good match, and again, eventually, that almost that sort of kind of like, although we had that sort of kind of like fast domination early on from Tasha, we had her focus on the legs, which made perfect sense. We did have a sort of kind of like, moment where Havoc all of a sudden, she was there and she then suddenly started to dominate Tasha. I mean, she gave her a bit of a beating, to be fair, towards the end. Obviously we had a bit of shenanigans with regards to Kira and Nevaeh in the end as well. And in fact, it was probably Kira's fault by messing around with Havoc, which led to Nevaeh then messing around with Tasha, which then led to the pile driver finish. So, shenanigans don't always work, guys. Shenanigans create other people to start shenanigans, and you end up with the result that you don't want.
Well, it just shows Nevaeh's not going to sit back and take anything for too long.
No,
turnabout's fair play.
No, I thought it was a really, really good match. There was a good story told in the ring, and what really helped sell that story as well was a really good commentary. So they proper sold the story. They sold where this could be going. They sold the past stuff that was going on. Everything was sold in this match, and I thought it was a really, really great finish as well. I mean, Havoc looks amazing doing that pile driver. So one really, really good match there. I really enjoyed that. I think it was a solid match to start the show. We then get, cut to the back and we get Matt. No, sorry, we go to commentate. We go to Matt and D'Lo, who have a little bit of a say, and then we end up going back and we find Ken is going off because they're talking about the stuff that happened after the match last week on Impact. Ken's going off on the referees. He's beating them down, putting them in foot locks, ankle locks, and all sorts of stuff like that. Sammy's trying to calm him down. He's like, "It's over. Stop now. We're done. We've done the job. We're done." But Ken is just going absolutely ballistic, and then ends up like literally giving Sammy the right hand from hell. Knocks Sammy down like a sack of spuds. Sammy's like in shock. He then basically leaves, says, "I'm done with him," and leaves him, and off he goes. And then obviously that we still see Ken then continuing to beat on the refs. We get security guards coming out there getting slammed all over the place. You know, it was just a general ass kicking by anybody that come anywhere near him from Ken. Obviously, then that cuts into Scott and Sammy in the office. Well, it started, well, he's on Scott and he's obviously ranting. It turns out he's ranting at Sammy. You know, and then, of course, Scott decides he's going to indefinitely suspend Ken Shamrock. And of course, you know, rather than, you know, defending him and trying to sort this out, Sammy obviously is like, well, that's fine by me.
Yeah, but that's what I came in here for, is pretty much what you said. You know, he came in basically to put that argument across to him that Ken Shamrock's out of control now, so you might as well just get rid of him.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with him.
He went to shake Scott D'Amore's hand, and Scott just battered him away.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I thought, you know, all of this section in that up to this point was really good. Like, I love the way that was all formed. Have you got anything on that, Steve?
I say all the performances here were really, really good. And even Ken not being there, you know, it added something by him not being there. I think if he'd have been there, and then
in the room, you mean?
Scott say, "Look, you're suspended," I think it would have taken something away.
Yeah.
Well, it would have changed. It would have changed the aspect of what they wanted to get out of that story, which was the fact they wanted to split Sammy away from him.
Exactly.
So, and if Ken was in there, it would yes, they would have split him away, but the focus would have been more on
Ken and not,
than it would have been on Sammy. They wanted to focus on Sammy at that point.
Exactly.
So, you know, that was good. Then we get obviously Rich Swann and Tommy backstage. I thought this was a really nice promo from Rich. Again, I've been a little bit critical of Rich in the past. I've not really thought his promos have been believable, but I thought this promo was very fluid. I thought it was really good. I thought Rich was really, really good. What do you think, Steve?
I've never had a problem with Rich's promos. I've always thought he's been a really good promo, and I thought that they done a really, really good job here. Last week, I think it was last week, wasn't it? They made the match. I had a bit of an issue with it. Like, I have no problem with Tommy, but I don't really want to see him getting a title shot. But here, they did a really good job where they made the match have more meaning by giving the history behind Dreamer giving Terry Funk a title shot and his, you know, 50th birthday, was it, I think, with Dreamer on his, when he had the title, I think.
Yeah.
So they gave the match more meaning in the history of it. Mm-hmm. So I thought they'd done a really good job in this segment.
Yeah, I thought it was good as well, and it gave, like you say, it was giving reason and relevance to why they're doing what they were doing. You know, what did you think, Joe?
Like Steve said, it set up the match a bit more better. I've no problem with Tommy Dreamer, and when Rich Swann gave the reason last week why he's setting the match up, it already had things to take over. Yeah, Tommy Dreamer. It might be like the beginning of the end of Tommy Dreamer's career. For one thing,
in ring,
obviously, or at least a step back for a while. But and then of course we had Chris Bay and Moose getting involved last week as well. So we might not even get Dreamer versus Rich Swann. We might get Moose like injuring Tommy Dreamer or taking him out, and then it'd be Moose or Chris Bay in there instead. Yeah. So it's got loads of open doors on where it can go.
Yeah,
and again, it's just good storytelling from Impact Wrestling, and the fact that they did mention Rich Swann mentioned that Tommy Dreamer done Mr. Terry Funk. I didn't even know that it happened because I only started watching wrestling in 1999, so a lot of the histories are well beyond me. I only watched like WWF back in the day, but you know, it's a nice setup for a good feel good match as well, like we had with Jordan Grace and Jazz. So whichever way it goes, I'm happy with it.
Yep, I'm all for everything that you're saying there. I think that makes perfect sense. I think it was like you said, I'm very vocal. I don't necessarily want to see Tommy in the main event. I don't want to see him going for a world title, whether he loses or not. It's not what I want to see. You know, I mean, there are better main events than that, in my opinion. But you know, I like the way they're setting it up as a part of the story. It makes sense. The story's going to build. Obviously, we're going to have next week as well, you know, to add more fuel to the fire. Yeah, I'm very interested to see where this one's going, and I'm looking forward to the next installment on it. We then get a promo from the Good Brothers backstage. Mo, what I found really weird on this one was they were very much promoting AEW in this, which led me to think, right, which wrongly, I'm going to say, which led me to think they weren't necessarily going to get one of those Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone adverts, right? Because I thought it was almost like the Good Brothers were doing the promoting for them, right? Because that's what it was like. Like, I'm like, they're stood there holding the Impact titles, but they're like promoting AEW and what they're doing in AEW as opposed to what they're going to do in Impact. It was bizarre for me to see that. It was really bizarre, and I was like, hang on a minute, I'm going to take my Good Brothers t-shirt off in a minute.
Tear it up.
Yeah, I was like,
go all Hulk Hogan, rip it apart.
I was not impressed. But of course, then the beer guns interrupt, and you know, we get, you know, anything for me with James Storm. I said this before. Anything with James Storm for me is gold. The guy can promo his ass off like 24/7. And I thought this was really good, the way that they kind of created this match for next week between these guys. I thought it was really good. And I loved the closing line from Chris Sabin, which was the ballless wonders.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. What did you think, Steve?
Yeah, well, I assumed that they were talking about AEW because that was their next booked match.
Right.
They haven't got a booked match in Impact right now. I don't think.
Well,
so
not until next week, though.
Yeah. So their next booked match is in AEW. So they're talking about that. They were talking about that one.
Yeah.
And then obviously then Storm and Sabin popped up and had an issue with that. But yeah, the promo between Storm and the Good Brothers was absolute gold. And then Sabin chipped in with that line, which was hilarious. But I'd like to see Storm bring back the beer drinking championship between him and the Good Brothers.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be
championships.
That would be funny. That would be really good. Yeah, and he comes down on his boozer cruiser. But bottom line is this, though. You know, even the commentary picked up on the whole ballless wonders thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was sort of supposed to have been the big ending, and it worked. I thought it was really good. Really
you think
good.
that could be a hint to the ending of the match?
Maybe we could end up with a balls match. What they call it, ball for ball match,
or a low blow or something.
Yeah,
I think they're going to bring in the ball for ball match like they did with talking Shopomania too. Ball for ball match, baby. That was brilliant. Can you imagine it? But anyway, so ballless wonders, we love it. We then obviously move on to the next match, which was the entrance of Madman Fulton. I've said it before, I'll say it again. His music is awesome and suits him to the ground. I love it. So he comes in obviously with Ace. We then get Josh Alexander. Do we think Josh Alexander needs to get some new music?
No, I like that he's still got the Nonstop music. It's now his music. It will obviously change as time goes on because he's got another year at Impact Wrestling, so it probably will change near the second half of his end of the year.
Maybe. I just think it's all part of his change to become a singles competitor, though. I mean,
yeah.
Like you remember when I interviewed him, Joe? It came out that originally that music that they used for the North, which he's now using for himself, was originally written for him. Because when he came in, originally he was coming in to do a singles run. And then they saw the potential in the North as a tag team and they put that to him, and that's what happened. And then that music then became the North's music. Now he's using that, obviously, as his singles run. I don't know. I just think that because it's so associated to the North now, that, you know, it's taken away from the fact that he's now going as a singles. He's doing a singles run. You know, he's got new gear.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. What do you think on that, Joe?
it still adds that menacing persona that you want from Josh Alexander, and I do believe that like I said, it will change in the next couple of months or so as his singles career builds up a bit more. But for now, it works for me. Like Josh Alexander is still finding his feet as a singles competitor again after such a long time.
True. What about you?
As a tag wrestler?
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, like I feel the same. Like it fits him. When he walked out to that music, I felt like that feels right. It feels like it fits him perfectly. And after Ethan Page left, he put up a video of that theme with like background content to it, and it all looked sort of like it worked correctly. And I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's not like James Storm coming out on his own to Beer Money. That would kind of feel a bit odd.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. Like I say, it's an instrumental, so it still kind of works.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of
like
those themes that works for a face and a heel, I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. I just thought I would pose that question as he's moving into that singles role. It's got to be worth asking. Would that help freshen him up, bring him more into the more into a singles role, rather because we would still associate that music with the North.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah.
Now,
I can see why. Yeah.
The match itself, I thought Fulton looked amazing. He was so strong early on. He was jacked as well. He was pretty toned up. I know he's been doing a lot of the Diamond Dallas Page yoga and all that kind of stuff. So I know he's been doing all that. And I know Ace Austin's been doing that as well. So I guess they've been doing that together. But, he's looking good. He's looking strong, agile. I mean, there's one point where he literally picks up Josh Alexander from the floor, slam him back down again, and I was kind of like, "Wow, that's impressive." I mean, Josh Alexander's got to be what, 225 pound maybe. I mean, he's a big, strong lad. Just to pick him up like that, was very impressive. And yeah, I think regardless of the result, obviously we know that Josh managed to get that pole driver in there to get the win. I thought it was a really, really good match. Both guys looked good, and nobody has gone away from the match like, oh, he just got absolutely destroyed by Josh.
Yeah, Josh Alexander, he proved that he's ready for singles competition. Again, proved he's ready for it. He was faultless in the entire match, and that Tiger Driver, I've never seen anyone lift Madman Fulton like that and successfully drop him like that. That was amazing. You'd expect that from someone like Doc Gallows, or if he was still there, Brian Cage or Michael Elgin, if they were still there. Yeah. But Josh Alexander's a strong wrestler, but he doesn't look like the huge powerhouse that you expect him to be. He's very, very technically sound, and you expect to see that more rather than a huge power move. You expect that like when he just double team moves with Ethan Page when he was there, rather than as one of his main offensive moves. And if that's his finishing move, because he has the spinning tombstone part over, but Havoc's got a tombstone, so he's not going to be using that. If that's his finishing move, that's a damn awesome finishing move to have.
Yeah, I mean, commentary has also picked up on how impressive that finish was from Josh. Like you say, he's a very, very technical wrestler. There's no wasted motion with Josh, and he's tough. He could take a beating, and still come back strong. And like you say, he's got an engine like a tank. What did you think on this one, Steve? I know you like Josh, don't you? You're a big fan of Josh.
I am, yeah. So I mean, I was looking forward when they announced this match the other night. This was a match I was really looking forward to. It's kind of like the immovable force versus the irresistible object, or something like that. You got two brick walls meeting each other, and it's like who was going to give first. And in this case, sadly, it was Fulton. but Josh is, Josh in this match was just immense.
He was great, wasn't he?
Yeah, he showed that in this match that a singles run is not out of the question. There was he kind of just took all of Fulton's beatings in this match and just kind of came back to give more, really.
Yeah. I thought it was an intense match. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Again, guys, leave your comments down below. Let us know your thoughts. If there's any questions you might have for us, make sure you put the make sure you put the special words. So, at the end of the day, I think it was a really solid match. Both guys came out looking strong, regardless of the result. Really, really good.
I'd like to know where Fulton goes from here, though.
That's the thing, though, because he looked strong in the win. I suppose it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. He might have lost, but he still looked strong. So I think I am interested to see where he goes from there. But it was, he looked good. He looked strong. So there's it wasn't detrimental to him at all, in my opinion. We then go on to a Good Brothers action figure advert. Now, the limited only and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was good. I don't know what Impact get out of this, or whether it's just one of those, moments where they're supporting their talent in their outside the wrestling show endeavors. I think it probably was. There's a limited amount of these, so you need to get up there and order them if that's your thing. I'm sure Matt Cardona is all over that, and Brian Myers. They've probably pre-ordered them already. But yeah, no, if it's your thing, get pre-ordering your action figure of the Good Brothers. They look really awesome, to be fair. I thought they looked really good. I loved all the additions that you've got, the different heads and the different hands and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was very cool indeed. Much better than your standard figure.
Yeah, the AEW's got some figures coming out like that as well. And I think Eddie Edwards might have one too. I saw Alicia Edwards a couple of weeks ago had something like about Eddie Edwards possibly having something like that too. But you have to check over our Instagram and see if you can find anything there. But I know AEW have got action figures coming up like that too, especially with the Young Bucks and their main event characters there. So it's all like tying into one thing, hopefully. But I think for the Good Brothers, it's a limited edition thing to help bolster their brand.
Yeah, of course. That's what I think it is at the end of the day. And it would be interesting if Impact and AEW, have got some sort of joint thing. You never know. They could be like both of them. It could be a deal which involves Impact and AEW, to create that bigger selling fan base. You know what I mean? That bigger.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be interesting to see, again, why you don't just have to collaborate on your TV shows. You can collaborate on all sorts of things.
Help each other market you.
Exactly. There's everything you can get involved in. Again, it's the same with any of them. If I go to my local, farm shop and I want to buy 20 bags of potatoes, I'm going to get a better deal than if I only want to buy 2 bags of potatoes. It's the same thing. So, it creates that buying power is better. So I think it's interesting how that all works out. We then get Myers come into the ring. I love Brian Myers' music. I think he's great. He comes out. He's wearing an eye patch. Obviously, he's been poked in the eye a couple of times, and Eddie bit it, and all sorts of stuff going on there. So he's wearing an eye patch. We then start getting the in-ring promo. He's basically saying that he is the professional wrestler and Eddie is the most unprofessional wrestler on the roster. This all then leads to Eddie coming out and basically attacking Brian Myers, going for it, which was interesting. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Hernandez turns up now, and just basically takes out Eddie and starts giving him a beat down. While all that's going on, we then all of a sudden get Matt Cardona come out, who then clears the ring. So, comes out, gets the save. Instantly, we've got 2 alliances here. We've got Hernandez and Myers, and we've got Eddie and Cardona. Now, wow. Like Eddie and Cardona together is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to kick off Matt Cardona's career.
I think so. I mean, that is definitely, like, you're talking about Eddie Edwards, the absolute OG, the absolute, legend, the I don't know, what do you want to call,
He's the pinnacle of pro wrestling.
he is
Yeah.
the locker room leader. He is the vet of the locker room for Impact Wrestling, and he's now going to be working with Matt Cardona. Now, interesting that how this is all going to turn out. But one thing's for sure, if we end up with the tag team match, which I think we are, because at the end of the promo they did after, they didn't say it was set. They said that we can go to management to get it set.
Yeah.
Right, so at the moment it's not set. Right. So unless it's come out on social media, but it may have done. But as us talking about it at this moment in time, it's not been announced yet officially.
Yeah.
But we're looking at Matt Cardona versus Brian Myers and Hernandez for a tag match at No Surrender. Now
it's that, or I know Brian Myers, he was trying to challenge Eddie Edwards for a match at Turning Point, and then because of that, because he couldn't compete, he got Hernandez out, and he said, "You're facing Hernandez." So I think we could have two matches there. We could have Eddie Edwards and Hernandez, and then Brian Myers versus Matt Cardona at Turning Point.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And next week we get the tag match of Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona versus Hernandez and Brian Myers. But at Turning Point, then they both come head to head.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how all of these things sort of kind of tie in and come together. What I do love though is the way that Impact seamlessly are able to sort of kind of like move from one storyline into another, and keep all of these storylines going simultaneously. It works so well. What did you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of intrigued in where Hernandez came from. I guess he's not interested in his money anymore. But yeah, like it's I'm glad that Myers has finally got into, to a degree, a settled feud now, because he kind of was running through opponent after opponent after opponent after opponent.
Yeah.
So it's nice that he's finally landed in a feud with Edwards, and I mean, you can't get a better feud than Edwards, can you?
No. Well, let's face it. I mean, that's when Impact Management are saying, okay, this, we got to do something good with this guy. We've signed him officially now. Let's give him a good storyline moving forward. His promo when he came in, though, I mean, he's so fluid. And,
it was, yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was, is what you expect from, a guy of his caliber, where he's come from. You've got to be good on the mic in the ring. You could tell that he's worked live as well, because there was no hesitation in everything that he was saying. It was very believable. I thought it was really good. Really good.
We've talked about like Moose, Callahan, maybe Omega coming and taking the title off of Swan, but Myers has been on fire since he's come in the company.
He's good. He's got a great look. He's got a great look, and he's so good on and off the mic, in the ring, everything. He's just an all-round professional wrestler, the most professional wrestler on the roster, and that is the bottom line. Now, I thought this is good. Like I said, we ended up with that. Looks like a match next week with the tag team match between the two teams. I thought also, I thought Matt and Eddie afterwards. I love the way that they're calling Brian at the moment Bad Mood Brian.
Yeah.
Right now, I think that's cool. I mean, they brought that up. That came out first time last week, and when we discussed it, Steve, I said then I thought it was cool. Bad Mood Brian is definitely a take on Bad News Barrett.
Yeah.
It's got to be. But I just think I'm down with Bad Mood Brian. I think that works really well.
Is that, or you got the world's most professional pirate?
Exactly, the world's most professional pirate in a bad mood. It was. I'm liking this. I'm really liking this, and I think actually that Brian has come out like looking great. I mean, yes, EY came straight firing all guns at Slammiversary when he debuted. It was all guns blazing, but then obviously at that time he'd signed officially,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Brian was sort of kind of there. He was making his debut or whatever. But I think they were feeling their way with him. I think he was feeling the way with them too. And then, of course, once he signed, it's now right. Okay, now we're ready to go. But I think they've done the right thing also, because you can't push everybody all at the same time.
No.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, I think this works really well. I'm loving it. I think Brian Myers is ace, but I'm looking forward to that. And I think Matt Cardona is proving to also be a great addition, very entertaining addition to the roster. Him and Eddie's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to that.
Do they have much history, him and Eddie?
I don't think they've got any,
No.
because Matt is never Eddie's never worked for WWE, and Matt has never worked for Impact or TNA until now.
No.
So yeah, so there's no history there
That's
at all.
going to be interesting then.
Well, you know, we all know that Eddie can work with anyone.
Oh no, I just meant like, you know, it'll be a first for them, so that'll be kind of like a nice like first.
Oh
form.
yeah, of course, because no one's seen it before. This is completely fresh stuff. So so I think it's great. So and Eddie and Matt have good chemistry, I think.
Yeah, you saw that when they did the promo backstage. There was instant chemistry there.
Yeah.
And you know, Eddie Edwards is there. You know, let's get a Scott tomorrow. Let's get this match set up. And you know, the back and forth between them, the amount of respect that Matt Cardona has for Eddie Edwards, and you instantly see that there and there. You can tell that's genuine. It's not just part of a character. And again, going back to the interview he'd done, you know, the amount of respect he's shown for the entire roster, you know, he's happy to be at Impact Wrestling, and that's why I do think he is officially signed. It's just not officially mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about in one of the interviews I saw, he was putting over Ace Austin, he was putting over Fulton, he was putting over Eddie, and you know, it was good. It was really, really good to see that. We then go to backstage, and obviously we go to find, I forgot what it's called now. Is it Swinger Palace or something?
Swingers Palace, like Swingers Palace in Las Vegas.
And we've got Bravo is now obviously working for Swinger, it seems, making the Wonga for Swinger. We had the swings. Is it the swinglets or the swingerillas or something? In the background, we've got Falaba, and we've got Alicia Edwards on the tables. So and they lose, unfortunately, quite a lot of money it seems. House wins. Swinger comes along, does his bit, wants to get his cut of the money, pings out like a ginormous roll of newspaper with a few notes around it, and a big wad of cash, and then has his latest wad to it. Where do you think this is going? Because I know that obviously we had the whole stolen money thing. Then obviously Swinger ends up with that, and he's effectively using that to make more money. Is that what we're getting here?
Yeah, that's where it's going, and I think we're going to see Falaba versus Johnny Swinger sometime next week. I think because you know Alicia Edwards is saying you need to start paying Bravo, and Swinger's there. I know he tried to get me arrested, and look what happened with him in Tyre Valkyrie. There was a bit of a back and forth between Swinger and Falaba as Swinger was leaving. So you know, you can see the look on Falaba's face. He's like, I'm going to sort this fucker out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. So I quite like this. I think this has moved on quite nicely to the sort. This is our little bit of comedy relief.
Yeah.
And I think it was good. It was really good. Steve, you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's leading to Swinger versus Falaba, but then I think after that, does it finish, or does what happens then?
I don't know.
This money storyline has been going on for a long while, and it feels like it's past here, past there, past here, past there, and it's still hanging around. So does it finish, or does it pass over to someone else?
Who knows? It could be whoever isn't in the ring at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's give them a shot with the money for a while. This money could be passed around for years. Who knows?
Hernandez started it, and he's not even interested no more.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's on something else now. Whatever, he's done. We then move on to our next match. Now, our next match is Decay's Crazy Steve versus Triple XL, and not only Triple XL, but Triple XL fun size Larry D. So yeah, I think that it's yeah, this was a really good match actually. I think Larry came out. He's lost a bit of weight. He's looking a lot thinner in the face, and he's clearly toning himself up, and he's looking good. We actually starting to see a six pack at times, which is really good. So he's looking trim. Obviously, prison is done well for him health wise.
Are we sure he went to prison?
Yeah, exactly. He's been working out. He's been getting himself ready, and he's ready to kick some ass. And he's pissed.
Oh yeah,
he's pissed off. He's got something to prove now, isn't he? He's got
well,
something to prove.
if you miss a chance with someone like Rosemary, you're going to be pissed off, aren't you?
Of course you are. Of course you are. So obviously, Crazy Steve comes out straight on the bat. Larry D, using all of his heel tactics. They were clearly creating a heel and face thing going on here. You've got AC sort of kind of getting involved a little bit, but very sly, so very heely, which I thought was really good, and that happened quite early on. Then we get into like Steve basically result into biting. Now I haven't seen this for a while, unless it was like the hardcore stuff. But
yeah,
all of a sudden Steve's like biting Larry a lot, like on his arm, on his head, and just biting him wherever he could bite him, basically, to try and stop this madman coming at him. Now, obviously, eventually, the biting doesn't pay off because the best hand in the house lays him out. And Larry gets the 1, 2, 3, so he makes a triumphant return, which is great. But what we then got was sort of kind of like this intimidation thing from Rosemary, where she sort of kind of come in looking her, crazy, demon self. And you see sort of kind of like Larry and AC are like, whoa, back it up, and they're out of there. That's kind of, you definitely see this kind of intimidation there. From Rosemary, and then obviously Steve comes out of the ring. You get the interaction between the brother and sister, and you could clearly see that Rosemary's thinking, and something needs to happen here. This is, we're a monster short or whatever it is. It ended up coming out later. Obviously, we then go backstage and we get an interview with Trey and an interview with Gia Miller with Trey Miguel. Now, I thought this started off really well. She's asking the right questions. Trey's basically explaining his situation. Now, for me, this is very clever, even though I wasn't expecting Sammy to be the one that turned up. So Sammy turns up and basically tells Gia Miller to do one, and then sort of kind of like then basically gives Trey Miguel a dressing down. On effectively, so because he was effectively sort of calling Des and Wentz, his rascal mates, a chain type of thing, and he's now on his own and he can do his own thing and he's not tied down and all this kind of stuff. So Sammy's giving the dress down, giving him a lesson in loyalty, all this kind of stuff, and then we end, and this is, I think, very, very important. We end with the word passion. Now, this was used as a dig at Triple H.
Yeah.
Because in the interview that was had where Triple H was asked about Trey Miguel, he talked about some wrestlers have the passion and all that kind of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it transpires that the reason Trey didn't come with them at the time was that his nephew, I think it was ill, or there was some trouble or something, and he felt that his family was more important at that time than going up north. But obviously, I think what's led to Trey coming back possibly is the comments from Triple H. Because I was an insider, I had a little bit of insider information saying that Trey had or was looking to go to WWE in February. But it just obviously didn't pan out for whatever reason. He's decided he didn't want to go for whatever reason. He wanted to come home. It could be something as simple as he's realized that not being at Impact is Impact's where he wants to be, at the end of the day. And because he gets to be there with his brothers, which is true to a degree what he's saying.
Yeah, they were a crutch to him because he was always associated with just the Rascals. Even when he was breaking out solo, he was tipped to be the next AJ Styles along with Ace Austin, but he always kept falling short. And even Trey was talking to Sammy and Trey was talking to Gia, he said that he was being overlooked because of them two. So he's also sort of playing down the Rascals and everything that WWE's doing. Like you said, that they've picked their favorites and just cast him aside. If you're going to expect that, regardless if it was Triple H or Vince McMahon making the decision, they got what they wanted. They didn't give a crap about Trey Miguel regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's great that Trey has come home. But it's interesting. I mean, are we going to see Trey Miguel and Sammy create a new faction, or they're going to be together at some point? I mean, do you think that's where we're going with this, Steve?
I don't think so. I think we're going to see them have a match, but I don't think we're going to see them together.
Okay.
Yeah. Trey Miguel on Twitter has already called out Sami Callihan next week.
Is that right?
Yeah, if you check his Twitter account, straight after Impact Wrestling, come on, he sends out this message. He says, "Fuck you, Sammy. I want you."
Right. Okay.
So we know where Sami Callihan's going now because he's not involved with Eddie Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
So Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel is going to be something building up there, which is going to be great for Trey Miguel as well. So that's their building platform, and we know where Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona are going. So that's their platform.
I bet Trey's absolutely loving life though, because he's thinking, Christ, if you're putting me in with Sammy, I definitely that's a platform that's to the stars, mate.
Yeah, well, if you listen to Trey's words, he kind of said, that he sort of was with his crutches over the last couple of years, and I feel like the last thing he would want is to be with someone else. He sort of feels like he wants to be in a run solo, and kind of if he falls, then he's going to fall by himself, and it's going to be down to his own errors now.
Yeah, no, I get that, definitely. But to be put in with Sammy, being that potential partner, that heel to his, whatever it is he's creating here, but that to put him in with Sammy, I think is the way to really sort of kind of push him to that next level. Hopefully we'll get a couple of really good matches out of this.
It's going to be gold dust between these two. We're going to get some really brutal matches, and Trey Miguel's come back as a anti-hero rather than a full baby face.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with that totally.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so moving on from that, we then get the next backstage segment, which is Triple XL, again with Gia Miller. She's getting quite a lot of interviews in at the moment, Gia. And obviously Larry D is expressing his disgust and everything else towards Decay and Rosemary. He's not impressed in the slightest, and they're not intimidated, even though people thought they were. AC, I thought it was AC that looked more intimidated.
Oh, AC was bricking it.
Yeah, he was absolutely bricking it. So and then all of a sudden, but he's saying, I wouldn't hit a woman and all this kind of stuff. And then of course we then get Tenille and Caleb with a K turn up. Tenille sort of saying, well, I'm quite happily hit Rosemary for you. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think what they were expecting was for it to be Triple XL Tenille versus Crazy Steve and or whatever. I think the plan was to have Caleb involved in that as well. So I'm going to be very interested, because that could then forward this later on after this match. So we then get the match sort of kind of talked about, which was Tenille, Triple XL versus Decay for No Surrender. But it's going to be a case of, I think she sort of basically said, like, you might need to find a partner kind of thing. I think to make it a 3-on-3. So this obviously we know that like traditionally, or in Incarnation 1 of Decay, we had a monster in Abyss who they missed their beautiful monster. but he's not available at the moment, so they're a monster down. So they need to find themselves a monster to move forward. I did see a tweet earlier with regards from Rosemary, which was stating that they are lacking a monster in their team, but at the end of the day, the Undead Realm has legions of monsters. So they're obviously bringing someone in. I'm going to go with Black Taurus at this because there has been rumors that he was at the tapings. And for me, would make the perfect monster. His character is a Minotaur. So, which is a hybrid kind of man beast. And he's got, the headgear and all. It just makes sense that he would potentially come from the Undead Realm. I think that's what we're going to see there. That's what Taurus is all about. Will he debut next week, maybe? Or will he just turn up at No Surrender? What do you think, Steve?
It's a possibility. I mean, the quote Rosemary put out, we have lots of monsters in the Undead Realm. Was there ever anyone that they done anything with in the Undead Realm that they maybe left there? Because I know that they done something with Bram, but was he ever possibly left there?
I don't know. I mean, we don't really know what happened to Bram, do we?
That's what I mean. Yeah, because I know that a lot of people have been calling for him to come back.
Bram was chucked in a suitcase and left out in the wilderness, and then he came back with the DCC.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, you're right.
Yeah. So, but there's no saying that Bram doesn't come back from the Undead Realm because the Shadow has a way to bring people back. But I'm listening to what you said, Jason. I think that Taurus is most likely going to come back, most likely at Turning Point as a surprise entrant, and because they're going to be thinking, oh, you're one person down, you're not going to beat us, and then they bring up this monster from the Undead Realm, and Taurus is awesome.
Oh my God, he's a beast, isn't he? He really is a monster. He's a beast. Great wrestler. From AAA. So it's going to be. I really hope that that's who it is.
If he comes in, do you think he comes in full time or just as a part-time income?
I don't know. I mean, is it going to be a case of that we might start seeing Decay bringing in lots of different monsters from the Undead Realm? Maybe we could see, I don't know, Luchasaurus turn up. I mean, who knows? I mean, Luchasaurus at the end of the day is in AEW, so there's no reason why he couldn't turn up and be part of Decay for a bit. Until they finally, decide and get to maybe, like you say, Bram debuting and becoming the permanent member of Decay. I don't know. It's interesting. I think Black Taurus would be great as part of Decay long term. But he is signed to AAA. I think it's all about that kind of relationships that we've got building, which helps. When you need something, if you haven't got what you want, then AAA have got so and so, that'll do. That'll work, and then that's all part of that relationship building, isn't it? So I think that's really good to see. I really do. So I think it's going to be Taurus, No Surrender. I hope he debuts next week. I hope there's some sort of
possible. I mean, they do need a third person, don't they?
I think what would be really cool was some kind of vignette with Rosemary and Steve doing some kind of Undead Realm stuff, and then like Taurus appearing from under the ground or something. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like they bring him up from the Undead Realm. That kind of thing. I think that would be really cool. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I think that would be really cool if something like that happened on next week, and then obviously he then is in the match for No Surrender against Triple XL and Tenille. I don't know. My Undead Realm is going crazy at the moment.
I found it very strange how Tenille entered herself in this match, because I was like, your win-loss record is terrible, and especially against Rosemary. What chance do you think you've got of taking Rosemary out?
It backs up her cocky attitude.
It does.
It's all about her, regardless. Win or lose, she gets all the photos on Facebook and Instagram and wherever else she is. That's all that matters to her, to be honest. It's publicity is more important to her than wins and losses.
Although I will say her reaction when she found out Caleb wasn't in the match was absolutely priceless.
Yeah, Caleb's reaction is like, oh, what about me?
Yeah, no, totally. And again, this is where I'm saying that potentially we've got some legs on this, because, you know, if they bring in Taurus, you know, then Tennille wants to get Caleb involved, then, you know, there's no reason why we couldn't then start seeing other things. But of course, the other thing as well is that it opens it up to be able to have a Steve Rosemary or Taurus and Rosemary.
Yeah.
And then you could have Tennille and Larry or Caleb, or you're opening it up to then start having those sort of kind of like intergender tag matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're opening it up to lots of different one-on-ones, as well as loads of sort of kind of tag team combination things as well. So you could have a real long thing going on here.
Yeah.
You really could. Okay. So we then move on to the next match. So we've got the Susan versus Jordan Grace. Obviously, Susan's coming to the ring with Deanna and Kimberly. Jordan Grace coming out with Jazz. This is my pop. This is now going to be my pop of the night. So we get this amazing. We get this match. I mean, let's face the facts. Jordan Grace basically hands Susan's ass to her. Don't get me wrong. Susan got some offense in. She looked really good. She sold well, which is, what you're going to need. At the end of the day, she's not supposedly a professional wrestler, this person. But, she's got a little bit of skill, and, but she ain't no Sue Young. That's what you got to remember. Right?
Yeah.
So, I thought it was a good match. We had the little bit of shenanigans going on, as we always do. Yeah, but I thought it was quite dominant, and with the shenanigans going on between Kimber, Deanna outside the ring, you had a little bit of stuff going on with Jazz getting involved a little bit. But of course, because you've got one-on-one in the ring, you've got two-on-one on the outside in this scenario. So it's kind of, the odds are not there with Grace and Jazz, are they, at this moment in time? So, then we get, again, we get the shenanigans, and we get the Deanna and Kimber outside the ring giving a slight assist to then end up with Jordan Grace getting the win. Now, and of course, Jordan gets the win, but of course, Deanna and Kimber, Susan, not happy about that at all. So they then invade the ring and start giving Jazz and Grace a bit of a pacing in the ring, getting an absolute kick in. They were definitely losing. And then what happens? This is the moment of the night, right? What happens? But the music hits. Out comes ODB to save the day. What an amazing moment. And does she not? She looks great. She looks
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and it was good. So obviously ODB comes out. She goes out, kicks ass, helping Jazz and Grace, Jordan Grace, which was great. I loved it. And then there was all the hugging and stuff. Jazz was loving ODB at that moment. And I just think it was a good match. But the ending with the running and everything else for me was the pop of the night. I thought that was amazing. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, as you say, it was a really good match. And I say Susan has been a breath of fresh air, because there's been a lot of wrestlers that have been played that character of how they don't know how to wrestle, but she tops it. She really does. Even down to her facial expressions, you really believe she doesn't know what she's doing in there.
Yeah.
But
and then when she pops something out, it's almost like a surprise.
It is, yeah. And taking a pin doesn't hurt her, because, like I say, she's acting like she doesn't know what she's doing. So it is like a member of the public in there, even though she is a wrestler.
What I like about it, I mean, Joe would probably agree with me with this. What I like about it is, by giving Sue Young multiple personalities, multiple roles, she can eat pins as Susan. She can eat pins as Susie, but Sue Young stays strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with Manic and TJP and Suicide, and the way that, like you said, the way they've got Su Young to restart a character. It's like when Ali started wrestling. She had no idea how to wrestle, and when Su Young restarts a character, she restarts a character. She doesn't do like what TJP does with Manic and Suicide and carry on bits of what his offense. Su Young resets everything, and it like Steve said, we've had people come in, play the character who can't wrestle properly, who doesn't know how to do it, and it doesn't seem to pull off. Ethan Page tried it when he was Joseph Park's cousin.
Yeah.
Although
Chandler Park.
Yeah, Chandler Park, he did a good job in that, and he didn't wrestle much, so so I suppose that point's a bit irrelevant, really. But he took the bumps in the ring, and he didn't sell it as well as when Susan takes a beating, or when she doesn't get a pin, she goes up and complains to the official that she's the authority figure. She's the one. All the messages she puts out after the match online, bad mouthing the company and saying ODB is not a woman. She's not the woman who should be in the wrestling. She shouldn't have been here. I'm going to bring this to Scott D'Amore. I'm going to get this all sorted. Things like that. She's portraying that she is part of Deonna Purrazzo's gang, rather than just some lackey that James Mitchell has managed to conjure up.
Yeah, I liked when ODB came out and she tried to shake her hand and sort of smiled to her like, "Hi, how are you?" And sort of like, "Get out my way."
Yeah, it was good. I think it was really good. I love it. I think Susan, Su Young, Susie, they're all fantastic characters. And, how better way, though, like I said, how better way to kind of like ultimately have more characters in your company than having someone that's got multiple personalities.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a great way of doing it. And fair play to Sue. She really is such a good little character actress. Like, she's very good. You can't take that away from her. She's very good. She could do anything. And she's proved she could do anything. She could be a monster. She could be the cute little girly type, character. And now she's playing a Karen.
Yeah.
As the Americans call it, just basically an all-knowing bitch. And it's great. She's doing such a good job of it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so great to see ODB back. For me, that was
fantastic.
Huge. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know when. But what a way to do it. It was genuinely a really good way of doing it. Okay, so from then, we then go backstage segment where we've got Matt Hardy and Private Party. Now, there's something I noticed in this segment. I'm going to bring it up in a minute. But let's talk about what they were discussing. Obviously, it started off with the Private Party. I don't know which one is which, but they started off with them basically promoing, talking to Matt. They were very convincing. I thought they were good. I thought they had really good promo skills. They talked really well. We then get the sort of kind of we get the the Steiner Mass promo style coming in from Big Money Matt. The whole percentages thing, which I thought was really good. But the thing I wanted to mention, and obviously they're going for both the titles, the AEW as well as Impact. They want them all. They want it all. That's where the whole Steiner percentage math comes in. But did you notice that because over the last couple of weeks, we've had Impact wrestlers wearing Impact tracksuits?
Yeah.
Right. Did you notice that Private Party were wearing an AEW tracksuit?
Yeah, that stood out to me instantly. And then when Matt Hardy was mentioning, you guys can beat the Young Bucks. You'll be the second greatest tag team in the world. And regardless of what happens with James Storm and Chris Sabin and the Good Brothers next week, the Private Party still got that match.
Yeah.
At the next Impact Plus special. But they were panicking. They thought they wouldn't get that match, and Matt Hardy just gives them a slap on the face, basically, and says, "No, you've got this. So you need to be focused because I need the money."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Matt Hardy rebuilding that big money Matt character that he had at Ring of Honor and brought into Impact Wrestling. I love that. It brings back Matt Hardy's one of the best wrestlers in reinventing yourself and in creativity, and he never got the credit he deserved in the WWE for doing that. And he's since going to Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and TNA when it was back when it's TNA back in the day. he's just showed everyone that this is what I can do if you give me the creative freedom.
Yeah, his character is yeah, and the thing is as well, he's very similar to I mean, you could say Sue Young is very similar to Matt Hardy in the way that she literally completely recreates a character, and there's no it's just the way it creatively happens. It's very believable, and then you're just sold on it within a couple of weeks. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is good. Big Money Matt was great. I mean, it's one of the big characters that he's had, in the past, and he's really taken it to the next level with this. I think he's proper taking it to the next level. AEW's obviously giving him that platform to do that. He's now bringing that over to Impact Wrestling as well. Matt Hardy is a goat without shadow of a doubt. He is a goat. People say that your favorite Chris Jericho, Joe, is a goat. Yes, he is a goat.
Chris Jericho is one of the greatest of all times. But for reinvention and promo, Matt Hardy's one of the guys up there that you just can't beat.
Exactly, and I think Matt Hardy's up there as well. As a goat, without doubt. You can put him in the same category is the greatest wrestlers of all time in all aspects of what they do. It's not all about what you do in the ring.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not quite as agile in the ring, Matt, as he used to be. But then, he's getting on a bit, and he's a bit battered. But his promos have got better. His characters are getting better. There's things that he does better now than he ever did. So it's just sort of kind of swung the other way a little bit, where when he was a bit greener and his promos weren't so good, he was able to rely on his in-ring ability, but now it's a case of, well, my in-ring abilities, I still can wrestle, but I can't wrestle like I used to. But what I can do is make sure that my character and my promos are better than they ever were. And I think that's what he's done. He's been clever enough to recognize that to be relevant in this day and age of wrestling and to keep going and get that longevity, then you need to be able to reinvent yourself. You need to be able to realize when one area of what you do is not the best area, and then you sort of kind of move the pendulum a little bit to put it in your favor. He's recognized that early.
Take advantage of what skills you have and make the most of them.
Exactly. Yeah, Matt Hardy said this when he started the Broken Hardy gimmick. He said to everyone, if you don't take it or leave it, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then tough. I don't care. This is how things are going to go for me. This is what I want to do. This is what I can do. I'm not going to change what I do to satisfy you, to satisfy the minority. I'm doing what I'm doing to satisfy the majority and to create a new audience.
Yes, exactly. And recreate myself and push myself forward.
It's the same. That's why Matt Cardona's come into Impact Wrestling. Matt Cardona said that guys like Matt Hardy, guys like Tommy Dreamer, they come to Impact Wrestling, and they come back to Impact Wrestling to build a stable platform for themselves. And that's exactly what they've done. They bring more eyes back into the product. They get that creative freedom back that they've had, they thought they've lost for a while. And Matt Hardy's a perfect example, and Kurt Angle as well. Some of guys who were held back elsewhere come into TNA, come into Impact Wrestling, and then they shoot up the ladder again.
Oh, mate, talking about Kurt Angle, I still think Kurt's coming back. I sorry, I know it hasn't happened yet, and I've been saying it for like probably 6 months now, but I still think Kurt Angle is going to turn up. We're going to get Main Event Mafia 0.3, 3.0, or whatever it is. We're going to get it. I'm telling you. It's going to have something to do with this AEW thing.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway.
I hope he does, but
yeah,
I'm not sure on the Main Event Mafia, but I really hope he does come back.
I think it would be amazing, to lead Team Impact or something towards
Angle versus Sting, or Angle versus someone on Kenny Omega or something like that.
It would be immense, mate. It would be immense. That would be fucking money in the bank. So, but I still want to come back to the fact that they were wearing AEW tracksuits, right? Because what this is telling you is that we are creating a team. Like when you start wearing, things that look the same, like uniform or a kit. When you start wearing a kit, you become a team, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, they are building teams. So, because if you notice, not everyone in Impact are wearing the tracksuits to the ring and stuff. Trey Miguel was. Tommy Dreamer was wearing his tonight. There was different people that were wearing their tracksuits on the Impact roster tonight, and then we get the tracksuits being worn by Private Party with AEW on. They're creating teams. Without doubt.
The other thing is, it's reminding everyone that these guys are on AEW. They're not part of Impact Wrestling. Yeah. It's also to hammer home, I guess, to the WWE that look at our guys. We can wear cross promotion guys' clothes on each other's shows and not get booted out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, you've got that as well. You have got that aspect of it as well. I think from a storyline perspective, where this AEW Impact stuff is going is that they're creating Team AEW and they're creating Team Impact.
Definitely.
Now, this leads me on to the next thing, which is you got the AEW advert for Beach Break, which is for us Wednesday night tonight. And did you notice that not only did they promote that, but they also promoted New Japan Pro Wrestling with John Moxley going there to defend his US title.
Yeah.
Right. So this is interesting because as everything has led to the AEW thing, we were getting these little things, these little hints that there was a decent working relationship with New Japan and Impact. There was a hint of that going on. You know, we had the Super J Cup. We had with Chris Bay getting involved in that. TJP getting involved in that. We also had the mention of New Japan World on Impact several times. So they've been promoting New Japan on Impact. And then we get the AEW thing turn up. We didn't get so much with New Japan then because it was all about the AEW thing. And now they're starting to promote the fact that there is the partnership there with New Japan. So the way I'm looking at it at the moment, we've got AAA Mexico.
Yeah.
We've clearly got a relationship with AEW and Impact. We know that, right? We've then got New Japan, who we know has got a kind of relationship with AEW. But because we started to see stuff happening on Impact, we know but there's obviously a potential there that there's a working relationship, even though it's not official. And of course, we get the AEW thing start to happen. That's obviously a partnership going on here, or there's something going on. And now we're talking about New Japan as well. So at the moment, we've got AAA, New Japan, AEW, and Impact all working together.
It's a bit like a wrestling square, isn't it?
Oh, you beat me to it, Steve. I was thinking that's either this year or next year they could put on one big massive event over like 2 or 3 days of all 4 companies coming together. You know, sort of make it like WrestleMania weekend, but with more variety.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine that? I mean, it would just like have a 2, like WrestleMania weekend, like you say, have a 2 show thing going on that involves all of the wrestlers from all of the promotions. It's not AWV Impact, or it's not New Japan versus AAA. It's not that. It's just all of that talent in one big show.
Yeah, it's what Chris Jericho did when he started the whole Jericho cruise. He brought Ring of Honor in and Impact Wrestling, and he tries to get with WWE involved as well. But Vince McMahon turned the idea down. He just said to him straight away, "I'm not interested. Don't bother."
Well, I think originally what happened with that was that he put it to Vince first, and Vince was like, no. So that's how it ended up. He looked elsewhere, and originally it was Ring of Honor, and then I think later on they brought in some Impact stars as well. It was mainly Ring of Honor, but
it was mostly Ring of Honor. I mean, Santana and Ortiz got invited on. Sammy Callahan got in, and Brian Cage got involved as well.
Yeah. So I think again, these sort of things prove that you can work together. You just like why does it have to be I work for AAA or I work? Why does this have? Why is it like that? Well, because WWE made it that way.
Yeah.
And made that's the way it's supposed to be. This is the model. But you know, again, they're proving now, and it's working. It's not like this has just been a one-off week, or it's only happened for a couple of weeks or a month now. This has been going on now since before Christmas. We're now into February, and it's building, and it's getting more and more. You know, so interesting, very, very interesting. Some of those matches on tonight are going to be pretty cool. I was quite impressed with that AEW card for Beach Break. I thought, yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is as well is that, do you remember we talked about in the past the way that in these adverts they're almost taking the things that some of the marks say online,
Yeah.
and kind of like almost taking the piss by including them into their thing. Well, there's been a lot of talk on how sort of kind of, well, the lack of gunnage that Tony Khan has, isn't there? There's a like lack of guns, right?
Yeah.
So did you notice in this promo he was stood sideways and he kept doing this?
Yeah,
Right.
he kept on like he really sold himself in this one. Yeah, over the past couple of ones he's done, you can see he's really enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah,
and
he was having fun.
He's really pushing himself out. He's more than just a serious businessman on the outside. You know, he's got his business side, and then he's got his wrestling side.
Yeah. I just thought the fact that they clearly are picking up on these things, and again, it's these are the things that the fans kind of like, you know, that they hate on, right? But I think what he's doing is brilliant. It's basically saying, "Shut up, you idiots."
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. Like, what difference does it make if I'm a slight, figure? I'm not a big muscle man. What difference does that make? But it's the whole stand. He literally stood full on sideways so you could see his lack of gun.
Yeah,
which I thought was I just thought it was brilliant. I thought,
well, if anyone's expecting Tony Khan to be like Vince McMahon and come down to the ring and get his ass kicked, then they're living on a different bloody planet.
They certainly are. Now, I know that lots of people have got different opinions on this whole advert thing that's going on. You know, I think they're good, right? And I think they do what they're supposed to do, which is create this. They're there to create two different, like a heel and a face. You know, in a kind of, in the wrestling world, you have to have a bad guy and you have to have a good guy. Some people root for the bad guys, or if you haven't got a bad guy, you're not going to root for the good guy. You know, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's. So for me, this whole advert thing is about creating AEW as a heel, right? Because with the Impact fans, because the more that they insult Impact, or they do whatever they do, the more the Impact fans are going to dislike them, right? So that's what they're doing. That's what this is all about. But everybody else, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, right? You know mine personally. Joe and Steve have expressed theirs. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear what people think. I know that you're all very split on these adverts. So, let us know your thoughts. I look forward to reading them. Okay, so we then move on to Grace, Jordan Grace and Jazz backstage with ODB. Having a bit of a promo. ODB gets in a little mention of her food truck. She was there with her food truck, feeding the boys and girls in the locker room. She heard what was going on, and she thought, I can't. This can't go on. And she comes in and makes her presence known. Jazz is then sort of like, are you here for the long term, or so there's quite a few of us coming back, and all this kind of stuff. And which was good, because that was kind of a hint towards maybe some of the old Knockout Guard are coming back as well. So you've got, like you say, on the recent Knockout month, we had the round the table thing. You had Taryn Terrell involved in that. Obviously Gail Kim was there. I believe Velvet Sky was in on that. ODB was in on that. Brooke Tessmacher was involved in that as well, wasn't she? So, there is a possibility that, they're not. Some of those, like Taryn Terrell is still like an active wrestler. She's not old. She's not retired. Are we going to see Taryn come back? We've seen ODB come back. I don't think Brooke's going to come back, because I think she's completely moved on from the wrestling business now. So I don't think that's going to happen. Velvet Sky was injured, but she's not anymore. And she's not signed anywhere.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that maybe we could see Velvet and we could see Taryn Terrell get involved. Could we see a combination of the beautiful people in the dollhouse?
Oh, that would be interesting. That would,
I don't know. But tell us what you think, guys. Leave us the comments down below. Let us know what you think. Do you think we're going to see any of the old guard, the old TNA knockouts come back? The originals, the OGs. Are we going to see that? I think that would be really, really cool to see some of the OGs come back. What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think if you get the right group back, then yeah, you could definitely have a decent run. Like you said, you could get Taryn Terrell back and Velvet Sky, and you could have like the beautiful dolls.
The beautiful house.
Yeah, the beautiful house. But yeah, say it sort of depends what you're gonna do with them. I mean, there's a lot more to do now. I think if you hadn't have brought in the Knockouts tag team titles, then it would have been a bit awkward because you'd have had bringing all these knockouts in, and they'd have been filling up slots that maybe the current knockouts would have been a bit kind of like pushed for space already. But now you've got the Knockouts tag team titles. There's more room to do things with them for.
Exactly. I was thinking that this morning as like you said, now that the Knockouts tag titles are there, there's more room to play about with the division, build some more people in, and the promo that Jordan Grace did last night, it was one of the best promos I've seen for her since they did that episode where it was like a throwback to somewhere else. They had Havoc, Jordan Grace, Tessa Blanchard, and Alexa Nicole. That was one of the like big comic promos from Jordan Grace then.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. And now they seem to be giving Jordan Grace a big stable platform as the like the baby face of the Knockouts division, and Deonna Purrazzo is the heel. I think we're going to get a really long-term rivalry between Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo going forward, and all the other Knockouts involved are going to just help carry that along rather than hinder it.
Yeah, that is definitely that's definitely an option, and I think that's a very credible option as well. Do you know what I really liked about this one though is the way that Jazz and Jordan Grace as well, but mainly the way Jazz was sort of kind of like really big in ODB up.
Yeah.
Come and join us. There's a load of us doing it now. Come on, we're all getting involved. And that kind of thing. It was really good. And I love the way that they ended it with all doing the bam. Yes.
Yeah. They went for the fist pump, and they were like, "Nah, that's not how we do things."
Yeah. Well, that's not how ODB does things.
Nah. Yeah. I thought that was great. I thought it was great. I mean, Jordan Grace going bam was so funny. I just thought it was really good. I loved it. And I think. That I think it's good to see ODB back. I think what's good is that every single week we're getting this kind of like something fresh is happening.
Yeah.
Whether it be a debut or, a new faction or something different is happening all the time. And I love it. I think it's going really, really good. And I'm very, very much looking forward to where this is going to go now. And of course, introducing ODB, who we know is she looked great. She can move still. She ran down the ring like she was 20 years old, right? She's in her 40s now. But she looked amazing. She could clearly still go. And I think that moving forward, this is potentially a way of sort of kind of like keeping Jazz involved, but giving her less wrestle. So you've got. Potentially you've got more Jordan Grace ODB, and Jazz can be there and involved, still get in and have her little bit, but she's not necessarily because she can't go like she did. She can't. That's evident. She's got bad knees, she's got bad feet. It's evident that she can't go like she did before, but she still wants to be involved and she's enjoying it and loving it. Yeah, this is her retirement.
Sorry, She is starting her retirement tour. So I think we might get ODB versus Jazz, and then Jazz drifts off from there while ODB and Jordan Grace continue on together. This is the last year we're going to see Jazz wrestle professionally. So she might as well go out with a bang.
Oh, without doubt. I think this is great. I think the way they're building this is really good. And I, for one, am popping over ODB. So, it's, you know, and by the way, guys, if you haven't seen my interview with ODB that I did a couple of months ago, make sure you check that out on the Total Nonstop Impact Network, TNI-UK, because that's on there. That was really good. I had a good 45, 50 minutes talk with her. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was good fun. She was in her streamline. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So go and check that one out. Now, again, what are your thoughts on ODB coming back? You know, I mean, leave your comments, let us know. We then move on to the next match, which was Rohit versus TJP. We had, obviously, Brian Hefner was the referee in this one. And I want to put a shout out to Brian, because Brian is an amazing referee. Like, the way he was in this match, the ring presence, you know, he's in the right place at the right time. He sold everything really, really well. There was a bit where you had which was clearly a spot where they sort of kind of wrapped around him.
Yeah, nearly got kicked in the face. And
yeah,
then, after TJP blocked that spinning kick from Rohit.
Exactly. They used the ref. There was a good story told in the ring by all three of the guys, which I thought was really, really good. So big shout out to Brian. Good man. Glad to have you back, man. Baby Hefner, we're glad to have him back. So yeah, so that was really good. So obviously, you know, I mean, there was a great story in this match, I thought. You know, Rohit and TGP looked awesome in this match. Both of them got some great stuff in. They just worked so well together. There was some great chemistry, you know, between the two. But let's not get on to the end. But let's just say that, you know, I think that there was some great offense from all of them in this match. Both guys were great and showed so much chemistry. What do you think on that, Steve?
Yeah, to me, this is what an X Division match should be. I think when people think X Division, they think, you know, the high flying style, but I like to see a bit of ground sort of wrestling and submission in there as well, a bit of everything. And this match had it all. Yeah, I found it amusing to begin with that TJP wasn't even coming out with Manic now.
No, they just dropped it completely.
Yeah, they've just dropped it, haven't they? And
yeah.
I like that. I like Striker just said it's even more mind games.
Yeah, it's exactly. TJP is just rubbing it in Rohit's face now, and that cocky attitude to TJP is going to bite him eventually. But
it is.
But like you said, Steve, it was a nice mixed match. It wasn't all high flying. It was really what I wanted to see from the X Division again as well, which is why I think Josh Alexander should go for the X Division title before going for the world title as well, because he's someone that can do everything. He can fly. He can do all amazing amount of submission moves that Josh Alexander can pull out. He can do more than just an ankle lock. He does like this massive torture rack, which is one of my favorite submission moves. It's incredible how he can pull that off from guys twice his size. So imagine what you could do to someone like TJP, how good TJP get out of something like that. And you can see how like octopus stretches and things like that from him. They could do a really, really good back and forth submission match for the X Division title.
I think it's interesting you should say that, but I think you would get a really good match with Rohit as well, because Rohit is an amazing all-round wrestler. So, I mean, there is also the potential in there to have almost have a three-way, isn't there? Imagine Josh Alexander versus Rohit and TJP. Jesus Christ, that would be an amazing match. And you know, that's in the realms of sort of kind of, you know, a dream match, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, three guys that are so strong in all aspects of wrestling. You know, just incredible, just incredible. And I think the match was so good, so clean, so crisp. Chemistry was great. Great story told. Obviously, you know, at this point now, getting near the end of the match, TJP obviously does his, you know, drop out, goes under the ring. We've seen him do this before. He comes out the other side as Manic or whatever it is. You know, that's his thing. But this time, Rohit sees what's happened and he's gone to the other side of the ring, so he doesn't come up behind him. And he's sort of saying to the ref, "Oh yeah, this and all this."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you see TJP emerging from underneath with Shearer his hand around his throat, and lifting him up and slamming him down onto the hardest part of the ring. pushing him in, and then of course we end up with the 1-2-3 roll up 1-2-3 with for Rohit Raju to take the win. So Rohit gets a win over the current champion, albeit with an assist from Shearer. Was it good to see Shearer back?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I found the finish really clever because I expect, obviously we expected someone to come out. In my thought, I thought it would be Shearer, but I was looking at the ramp, looking at the the side of the ring, thinking, well, where's he coming from? Completely forgetting that TJP usually goes under the ring at some point, never thinking he'd be hiding under the ring.
Yeah. I thought it was good. It was clever, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was really clever, and never ever thought that that's what they would do. But I mean, I've been hot and cold on Shearer. I've always wanted to like him. I've always felt like he's someone who I should like and want to see something in. So I'm hoping this run, he's someone who during his time off has kind of been training and been like improving, and this run is going to be that run where he really does impress. And with Rohit, because in the last run, he was like they were tag partners, and not on under Garma it was a bit of a not a good showing. It was a different circumstances, wasn't it? Whereas maybe this time he's a kind of what Ace and Fulton are, aren't they? So
yeah, he's kind of coming in to be a part, or be sort of kind of. He's not like a, I don't know what the word is. It's not really a faction.
Yeah,
it's more of a partnership.
Yeah, kind of like what Ace and Fulton are doing, aren't they? So
Yeah,
maybe,
similar.
maybe kind of like, that might help him a bit, learning off of someone like Rohit.
Yeah, possibly. What about you, Joe? What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't expect anyone to come out from under the ring and outsmart TJP that way. Shearer was one of the guys I did have crossed my mind to be the one who returns or to help Rohit, but I did think it would be someone else, because Rohit had put something up on Twitter last week with him and his partner from AEW.
Yeah.
And I've said to Rohit, this is the guy you're going to be bringing into Impact Wrestling, and that's who I thought it was going to be. But to see Shearer back, I'm not disappointed. I'm hoping, like Steve said, I'm hoping we see a real sense of direction this time. Because
yes, that's exactly what we need, isn't it?
Yeah,
we need to know this is your character, and this is where you're going with it.
Yeah, it's not so much that Shearer's a bad character. It's just that they don't seem to have a clear direction with him. Like they had that with Rohit Raju to start off with as well. So look at where what Rohit's done in 2020 since Garma Singh's been out of the picture.
Yeah.
And now that the same thing can happen to Shearer in 2021.
Yeah. No, I agree. It would be good to see that. I was hoping for Karam. In my head, I thought it's going to be Shearer because we know Shearer's signed. We know that he's been working hard. He's been over at OBW, working on his in-ring there and everything else. But he looks like a beast. He's a big dude. He looks angry. I think he'd probably make quite a good addition to Violent by Design, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he's a big dude, and if he's used in a similar way, like you say, to the Austin and Madman Fulton type of way, then yeah, we could be seeing something interesting here from Shearer moving forward. So welcome addition, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him back, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah, definitely. Leave us your comments, guys. Again, I know that there is mixed feelings on Shearer. Some people love him, some people don't. So please leave a comment. I'm interested to hear all of your thoughts. So I just want to mention also on this one was that again, the commentary's been really good all the way through. I just thought it was exceptionally good in the Havoc match. But I thought it was really good in this one too. The way that they kind of picked up on the story, it really enhanced the whole story of the match and where this is sort of coming from and where it's leading, the surprise in the voices, the talking about the moves and how good individuals are, and they bigged up pretty much both guys as well. It wasn't a case of they were just bigging up one. They bigged up both the guys, gave them all a real good feel, so that everybody watching were like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it was a really, really good commentary. I thought this match was great. We
Yeah.
then head over to a Violent by Design promo where Eric Young is effectively incredibly convincing as a psychopath, inviting Jake into his, you know, Devil's Rejects family. So, you know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think, you know, and I love it. I mean, I said this, didn't I, a couple of weeks ago? I said, you know, is Jake going to be invited in? You know, is he going to be baptized into his purest form? And, you know, that's exactly what Eric Young wants to do. He wants to bring Jake. He wants to baptize him, and he wants to rebirth him into his purest form, doesn't he?
Yeah, I see like Jake probably doing what Rich Swann did to OVE, like say he's gonna come in and then pull off a fast one and do a backstab move there. I think it's building more towards Jake and Rhino versus Violent by Design, while they try and wait for Heath to come back.
Yeah,
is the way I don't see Jake going for it. I see that, but I do see it's going to create a massive rivalry between Cody and Cousin Jake, which is something that I want to see. I want to see Cousin Jake and Joe Doran, Cousin Jake and Cody Deaner, because Cousin Jake and Cody both got a massive boost last year, but that was on more of a comical side. But
yeah.
Final Resolution onwards, last year, there was a huge spike in, Christ, these guys are doing something really special and something massive is coming. And since Christmas, Cody Dean has sold himself as this full-blown heel now, and now it's time for Cousin Jake to start to rebuild himself again. So he might not go to Violent by Design, but he might still just drop the family name and be Jake something, like you suggested last week.
Yeah, I think all of roads are leading to Jake something. You know, or, you know, I'm not a man. I'm not. I don't like when they sort of like drop last names and stuff, and they just call people, you know, like Trey. You know, like
what, like Heath?
Yeah, I don't like it. You know, I think that you know, Trey Miguel is great. You know, or Jake something. You know, you like if you just suddenly call him Jake, it's just like that's a shit name. You know what I mean? Like that's not a wrestler.
Yeah, it's not got that impact.
No, it's got no impact at all.
That's staying power.
Yeah,
but
the only time it works is when you're like Sting.
Yeah, no, definitely. But what I'm saying is, but that's not like John, is it?
No, I know, but yeah,
you know, it's a play on the Scorpion. You know, he's effectively Sting is Scorpion. That's what he is. But you can't call yourself Scorpion, so he calls himself Sting. Yeah, it makes you know, and that works really, really well. But like with regards to if you've got like a normal name. You know, I'm not going to become like I'm Bison, right? Like if I was a wrestler, I'd be Bison. That's what I would be. That's what my persona is all about, right? You know, ever since I was doing the backyard stuff, I was Bison. That's what I was, right? So, but you know, I wouldn't go out to just be called Jason.
Yeah.
Like what a shit wrestling name. Like so like, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, but if I went out as you know, like Jason Hawk maybe, or Jason Bison something or other, or you know, or maybe just call me, you know, or I don't know, Jason, I don't know, whatever. But if you come up with something, you know, Jason Spears or something like that, you know what I mean? Like that's a wrestling name, right? But not just Jason. That's not a wrestling name. Jake. It's not a wrestling name, you know, but Jake something is, because Jake something has a reason of why he is Jake something, right? You know, if you go back and look at a lot of the AAW promo stuff, the Jake, the reasoning behind why he's called Jake something is actually really good. So I hope that they bring the Jake something into Impact Wrestling, and he gets to explain what Jake something means.
Yeah, it's where I see it going, because now that Cody's not his family, he's lost his identity as a Diener. So what's he going to be? Exactly.
Yeah. So he's got to be something, right? Yeah, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, you know, where we go with it. I still think that Heath, right, is in Violent by Design. I think
I don't
think
see it.
when he disappeared into that room, I don't think they beat him down. I think they give him a proposition. And I think at the moment, although he's injured, he's in prison, awaiting to be baptized into his purest form, and we'll see a different version of Heath when he comes back.
No,
But
I don't see it.
as violent by design. But like you say, I don't know. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? You know, what do you think happened to Heath? Where did he go? You know, he was in a room with Rhino. Rhino comes out, gets a beat down. Violent by design go in, and that's the last we see of Heath. The door closes, and that's it. Did they beat him down, or did they convince him to join Violent by Design? You know, who knows? You let us know in your comments down below. Steve thinks I'm talking shit. Joe, I'm not sure, but you know, it's an idea, it's a thought. Who knows? So yeah, so we're going to find out. We then get Jake and Dia Miller. Jake's obviously, you know, thinking about this, and she's asking, "What do you think about that?" You know, obviously he was inviting you in, and he's like, "Well, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I've got this thing in my head. I just don't know." And you know, everyone's going to find out next week.
Yeah, it's a good thing to get you engaged to watch next week. You know, I like that Impact. They're starting to use that a lot more. Again, you know, you want to know what's happening, come and tune in next week.
Yeah, give us a reason to watch. That's what they're doing. They're giving you a reason to watch. We didn't get much from VBD this week. You know, this is pretty much it. That's all we really got. But
the one
you know,
promo, and that was it.
Yeah, and but that's leading. So we're obviously going to get more Violent by Design next week. So if that is your storyline that you're proper engaged in, then you need to make sure you watch next week to find out what's going on with that. So yeah, so that was interesting how that panned out. We then get the main event of the night, which is obviously Moose and Bay versus Rich Swann and Tommy. The first person out is Moose. I love Moose's music. I love the way that they, you know, it's all dark and then they shine the spotlight down on Moose and he's just there in all of his glory. And as I've said before, the guy looks like a world champion. He looks like a world-class wrestler. He looks like an athlete. He looks like he could just literally, he looks like a wrestling god that could just literally beat the piss out of you. And he's starting to get pretty convincing on his promos as well. He's an all-round world champion in the making. And I, you know, I'm totally on the Moose bandwagon right now. And I do believe that he is going to be a big part of the you know, redemption of Impact Wrestling in the distant future.
Yeah.
Where all this sort of kind of goes, he's going to be the man. So I'm looking forward to see how that all pans out. I did think that you know, Rich coming out again, you know, Rich, he's a completely different character to Moose. You know, Moose is this kind of badass aura about him, and then Rich comes out and he's more a fun-go-lucky guy. You know, champion. He's totally different character, which again is why it's so cool that if Moose ends up winning, you get this completely different style of reign from an entertainment point of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then, but you know, that's down the line. We then obviously get a lot of Rich and Chris Bay in the ring, and boy, do they have chemistry? like we know they're good because we saw their one-on-one, didn't we?
Final Resolution.
Final Resolution was insane, right? So we know that they've got chemistry and we know that they can go, and it was great because ultimately when you put this match together, you're like, well, Rich and Bay are going to be fucking awesome. You know, you instantly know that those two are going to be great because they got chemistry. You know, Moose, we just know is awesome anyway, and it doesn't matter what you do with him. He's just a badass god of wrestling. And of course, you know, Tommy is Tommy. You know, it's all about making this relevance moving forward for him entering No Surrender for his title match with Rich. You know, I like the promo they did where they were talking about earlier on, where they were talking about Rich was like, oh, you know, just let me take the weight, you know, as if to say like, yeah, you know, I know you're past it.
Yeah.
You know, so this is the thing. This is the subtlety This is a subtlety that a lot of people don't pick up on, right? In this particular moment, is you've got, you know, Rich doing the right thing. You know, think he's doing a good thing by giving Tommy, you know, on his birthday, a nice birthday present, world title shot. But Rich doesn't think that Tommy's got a chance of winning.
Yeah, you can tell Tommy Dreamer's reaction. He sometimes you can see he feels a bit insulted.
To a degree, yeah, he is. He's like, well, hang on a minute. You know, if you're giving me a shot, I'm going to try and win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Rich is almost like, he's almost like this foregone conclusion. Tom, you're not going to win, but like, you know what I mean? So fast forward to the promo that we had where they were talking about the match that they had tonight, and Rich is almost saying, look, I'll deal with this on my own.
Yeah.
You know, I know you ain't got a lot in the tank, so let me deal with it, you know, but he's doing it in a nice way, kind of like, you know, I want you to be 100% fit for your match against me, no surrender, you know, I'll happily take the brunt of it. I can go all night, man. You know, that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
So he's lit, but what he's saying subliminally, he's saying, look, you're past it. You ain't got much in the tank, you know, so I need to try and protect you for our match.
Yeah, he's behaving like a mark.
Exactly.
It's almost like he's playing off what the marks are saying about Tommy Dreamer. Say what you like about Tommy. He's coming up 50, but he can still go and he can still put on a decent match. And you know, and Tommy's reaction to all of this, and he said to Rich Swann, don't underestimate me. If you're in trouble, I'm going to come out there. I'm going to do my part regardless of what you want me to do. So
yeah,
Tommy,
my fair share. I'm going to do my fair share.
He still performed in this match pretty well.
And he did really well. And he came out with the Terry Funk look as well. So even if you don't know too much about Terry Funk, the headband and the red on his, the red dots, he's changed it from the yellow to the red. The red, I think the red represents Terry Funk. Of course, the polka dots represents Dusty Rhodes. So, you know, and the yellow polka dots, primarily yellow on black, is Dusty Rhodes, isn't it?
yeah,
So that's who he normally sort of kind of offers his homage to. But he seems to be heading a little bit more towards Terry Funk at the moment, which I think is really cool. You know, I love the way he's doing that. And of course, one interesting thing on this as well is during the commentary. Now, this is where everything becomes so subtle. Is they were, I think it was D'Lo was talking about being on the road with Tommy or sharing a hotel room with Tommy and pointing out that he struggles to get up.
Yeah.
He can't bend over to put his socks on, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Now, you know, so what they're doing is they're downplaying Tommy as a potential threat for the world title, aren't they?
D'Lo's underestimating him, and Matt Strike is building him up a bit. So there's a sort of dividing opinion there without being too harsh. You know, like you get with Don Callis and Josh Matthews, or you know, so the commentary is really, really good at balancing out everyone's opinions and everything, rather than polarizing everyone.
Yeah, no, I thought he was clever. I think he was, again, it's forwarding that storyline, it's creating the narrative for you know what's to come at No Surrender. You know, I know we talked about the possibility of it actually not happening. You know, we end up with Moose or somebody else in that match, but I think Moose and Rich Swann is too big to be at No Surrender. That has to be a pay-per-view for me. But you know, I think it will be Tommy Dreamer, and the way that they're building that story is really sort of creating Tommy as sort of kind of like he's not really got a hope in hell against Rich. I mean, Rich is just going to beat him, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to get is actually the total opposite. Like Tommy's going to give Rich a real good match.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to fall over. He's not going to lay down and take the pin. He's going to fight. Because that's what Tommy Dreamer does.
Yeah, and assuming Rich Swann's most likely going to win, I think we're going to get Moose and Rich Swann come Rebellion at the earliest, in my opinion. So it's like if Tommy Dreamer loses, he's probably going to just walk away from Rich Swann rather than shake his hand. And, you know, it's going to end somewhere like that, and then there'll be a bit of blood between Tommy Dreamer and Rich Swann, and then Chris Bay will get involved for the next Impact Plus special. So it carries on where Rich Swann and Chris Bay are going forward too, because I want to see them again. Everyone wants to see them again after the final resolution. They have match of the year, but we couldn't vote for it by then.
No, exactly. Yeah,
I was saying to Impact, can you please update the card so I can vote for that, because I've already voted for the Slammiversary main event, which was awesome in itself. But after seeing Rich Swann and Chris Bay go at it like that, especially seeing how banged up Rich Swann was from Eric Young and everything. You know,
do you know what? I voted for Jordan Grace and Deanna Praza for the 30-minute Iron Man match. I thought that was amazing.
That was a great match, yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself? What are your thoughts on this? Where do you think it's going with Tommy Dreamer?
Well, given when I first saw the finish of the match, Moose obviously went for Dreamer, didn't he? And then hit Swan with the spear. And I watched that back 2 or 3 times, and I was like, did Dreamer know Swan was there? You know, was there a half look behind before Moose went for that spear? And he didn't, but you got half think, well, he knew that Swan was going for that move. So there is a little kind of doubt that there might be a slight bit of tension there now.
Yeah. I think the way that the match was played out, I think you're right. I think there is a little bit of animosity in there from Tommy. But, you know, he appreciates the fact he's getting the shot, but, you know, at the same time, he's like, well, I'm not going to go and lay down. That, like, you know, you're treating me like this is, you know, it's just a favor. You know, give me a main event world title shot. You know, I'm not going to win, or you give it to me because you think you can beat me easily. Or, do you know what I mean? That you could tell that's he's thinking this. He's definitely thinking this. So it will be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Yeah.
Of course, we get the in the end, we get that spear from Moose onto Rich, which then, of course, leads to Swan getting pinned by Moose. So Moose gets the pin on Rich Swann. Yeah, so is this foreshadowing something in the future? What I do know is that Moose will now turn around and say, well, I've pinned Rich Swann.
Yeah, I know that it was probably planned to do that for obviously the storyline of the match for Dreamer and Swan and Moose. But for me personally, Swan has been losing a bit too much lately in non-championship matches.
Yeah, he's not won a match this year.
No, you know, I know he's won the matches where it's been championship matches, but other than them ones, I can't think of many matches he's won. You know, and I don't like champions losing when they don't need to.
Well, I think the main thing is though when you lose in a multi-person match,
he's been taking the pin as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, I suppose, but then again, that's the way you forward the storyline with regards to Moose. I mean, Moose now, like I said, can walk away, and I mean, it didn't matter that Rich took the pin; it didn't cost him anything other than that match. But now he could go away and say, right, I've pinned the world champion. You know, it's a multi-man, but I pinned him. Got the 1, 2, 3 spear, 1, 2, 3 done. Right. So, you know, he's then got more of a claim now to say, look, I want a world title shot. You know, it's there. The claim is there. And you're building up Moose again to take that position. You know, Rich is only so long. You know, Rich is going to be he's a solid world champion. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
His promo works really good. He's doing a good job. But he's in that holding role. He's not what they're going to build the company around. Right, he's in that holding position. He's doing a good job of it, and he well deserves it too. You know, for everything that he's done, he deserves it. You know, and that now will forever be on his CV, his resume, or whatever you want to call it, that he was Impact World Champion moving forward. So, you know, but I do think he's in that holding role, and it's waiting for the right time for it to end up around Moose's waist.
Oh, definitely.
In the big event, you know what I mean? The big event, the big pay-per-view, main event, Rich Swann versus Moose is going to be immense. And you're right. I think it'd be Rebellion. I really do. I do. If it's not a Rebellion, then like I've said before, it could be part of the Impact Redemption arc where Kenny ends up winning it at Rebellion and Moose ends up winning it back.
Yeah, that's the only other way I can really see it going, because I don't see Chris Bay winning it anytime soon.
No.
it's too soon for Chris Bay, but then they could build Chris Bay and Rich Swann in a rivalry after Rich Swann has lost the title. So they'll keep being relevant, and there's no stopping either of them going for a world title shot down the line too.
Totally agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting. What about your guys' thoughts? What do you think? Again, you know our guys' thoughts because we're always talking about it here. So just leave us some comments down below. If there's any other subjects you want us to talk about, remember we're adding that comments. We're going to answer some of your questions from the comments on the next show. We're going to do that. That'll be a little feature. So, leave your comments, ask us what you like, leave your comments on this, ask us our opinions, we could take it from there. But I think, no matter what's happened, no matter what, the fact that Moose gets that pin over the current world champion is, the way to lead to, getting Moose right into that world title picture. Without doubt. Well, guys, that was the end of this week's Impact. That's how it ended. There was no shenanigans after that. That was it. It was well and truly done and dusted. There was one thing I did want to mention actually in the news section. I completely forgot because I've got written it down here. Was that this month on Impact Plus, on the free version of the app, I might add, is Hardcore Month. So Hardcore Month on Impact Plus. I think in the moment there's 5 or 6, maybe 7 different things on there. We've got some hardcore matches. There's an interview with Tommy Dreamer, which was originally aired on Fight, I believe, in Canada. It was a special done for them. That's also on Impact Plus now. I think there's a top 5 hardcore matches. And what else was on there? There's a few things on there. I think there's a hardcore Impact in 60 on there as well. So there's quite a few different things on there, different things to definitely worth a check out. So I love what they're doing at the moment. Obviously, January was Knockouts month. This week is going to be Hardcore month. Maybe next month is tag team month or something. I don't know. But what I do know is it's definitely worth downloading the Impact Plus app. And you don't even have to pay. You get the free version. The free version, if you're in the UK, you get Impact from 3:00 in the morning on Wednesday morning. You get Impact. You get the month stuff that they're doing now. This sort of kind of like say we're doing Hardcore month. Last month was Knockouts month. So you get that comes in. They take some of the stuff which is on the paid platform and they put it out for you guys to see for free. So that's really good. If you don't want to go, if you do want to pay your subscription, which I do, did you pay for it, Joe, or you're on the free version?
I'm on the free version at the moment.
But it's good, isn't it?
Oh, it does the job. It's worth having.
How about yourself, Steve? Have you got Impact Plus?
Yeah, I pay for it monthly.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I pay for it as well, so that I can get those Impact Plus specials. I think the Impact Plus specials each and every month are worth it alone. Without any of the other stuff, the exclusive stuff that you're getting as well. I mean, you've got that back catalogue of all those pay-per-views, and there's so much stuff on there. It's crazy. So much stuff on there. Well worth the subscription, guys. I could not recommend it in a month, especially that you get those like pay-per-view quality specials every single month as well. So it's really good. So don't forget, download your Impact Plus app on the free version this month. We got Hardcore month. Well worth checking that out. Some good stuff on there. So I mean, really, I don't think there's anything left to say, really, guys. Maybe you could let us know where we can find you, Joe.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at JOK Empty Space. You could track me down on Facebook if you wish to. Look for Joe O'Keefe, KWFFE, or follow hashtag Empty Space, hashtag The Void, or if you fancy a little bit of a giggle, hashtag Daily Giggle. Might find me there.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely plenty of places we can find Joe. How about yourself, Steve? I know you're quite new to Twitter, aren't you?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter where I post everything Impact related at James D. Steve, or if you want to chat over at Facebook at Steve McDonald, where it's most of my personal stuff.
There you go. So check out what Steve's doing in his personal life.
Indeed.
Who knows? Who knows? But again, certainly from my point of view, at Lord Bison 45 on Twitter, please feel free to follow. Again, I'm very active with regards to making sure that I spread the news of Impact Wrestling. I also I'm very vocal. I talk about a lot of different bits and bobs on there as well. Happy to let people know my thoughts on things. And don't forget, of course, I also have Bison Talks Impact, my interview show via TNI-UK on the Total Nonstop Impact Network. So you can also make sure that you hit the bell, subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube or, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast. Don't forget to head over there, check out the Total Nonstop Impact, subscribe, and obviously, hit the bell to never miss any of the great content that we got coming out every single week. And again, make sure that you give us a like, guys. We love a good like. So give us the like button, the tickle, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. Anything that we've talked about today, leave us a comment. And remember, we're looking to answer some of your. Sorry, that was my dog. My dog's just come in. Don't forget, we're looking for some questions to answer in the comment section next week. So don't forget to leave some of your thoughts. We're happy to give those. That'd be fantastic. Head over to We Talk Impact to follow the Total Nonstop Impact Network. Anyway, all that's left to say is thank you for joining us this week. Don't forget to leave us a comment. And well, it's goodbye from me, goodbye from the boys, and this was Impacted.